Chapter 1395. When has the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor ever suffered such humiliation before? Today, two of his sons were in danger, and he, who wanted revenge, was actually threatened by someone who was stronger than him. How great of a humiliation was this? He, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, the overlord of the 13 prefectures, was actually suppressed by someone stronger than him. This was simply too miserable. He had lost all his face. Since this is an immortal war between the Dongxing Gate and the Immortal Qianbian Gate, it's fine for all of you to just watch the show. Chongqing the Great spoke. That's right, let's end this immortal war with an emperor-level battle. Why is there a need to kill so many people? The victor of the emperor-level battle shall rule the 13 prefectures, while the loser shall leave. Emperor Yu emotionlessly spoke. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor laughed, glancing at Zidi and the others. They didn't say anything. It seems like they didn't intend to interfere. In this immortal war, the ones being exhausted were the strength of the Dongxing Gate and the Immortal Qianbian Gate. What does this have to do with the other powers? In addition, this battle allowed them to clearly see all the trump cards of the Immortal Qianbian Gate. Most probably, they would be more than happy to watch an emperor-level battle. Below, regardless of immortal kings or immortal foundation characters, all stopped fighting as they stared up at the sky. With so many immortal emperors descending, this immortal war was already out of control. The people of the Dongxing Gate all had ashen expressions. They felt sorrow in their hearts when they saw so many of their comrades falling. This time around, they sent their troops to the Immortal Qianbian Gate, thinking that they would be able to raise the Immortal Qianbian Gate to the ground. Who would have thought that the ending would be like this? What if it's a draw? Zidi asked. Back then, the reason why the Immortal Qianbian Gate wanted 6 prefectures was because they fought to a draw with the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Both sides couldn't do anything to the other, hence they could only divide the 13 prefectures among themselves. If it's a draw, then it's up to them. A truce is fine too. They can continue fighting until only one of them is left. Emperor Yu calmly spoke. In an immortal war, if the peak characters couldn't do anything to their opponents and the difference in strength between them wasn't too great, they would usually choose the former option. If not, only one side would die. Of course, if one side had an absolute advantage, they would choose to wipe out the other side. Just like this time, the Dongxing Gate believed that they had an absolute advantage, so they sent their troops to wipe out the 6 western prefectures. They fought all the way to the headquarters of the Immortal Qianbian Gate and razed the Immortal Palace to the ground. How can we leave without destroying the Immortal Qianbian Gate? The Dongxing Heaven Emperor soared up into the air as his battle might engulfed the area. At the same time, the 2 paragons under him also soared up into the air, standing on both sides of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. The eyes of the Emperor Qianbian turned cold. He soared up into the air and landed on the opposite side of the Dongxing Gate. As for Wuxia and that old man, they stood on both sides of the Emperor Qianbian. Regardless of the number of immortal emperors on both sides were equal. Next, they would be competing based on pure combat prowess. Back then, when Wuxia killed the descendants of immortal emperors, it was this pure Yang Sword Emperor who stood up for him. I didn't expect his relationship with Wuxia to be so good to such an extent. Even during the emperor-ranked war between the Dongxing Gate and the Immortal Qianbian Gate, he even stood on Wuxia's side. Someone's side. Only now did Qin Wentian know that this old man was none other than the immortal emperor who stood up for Wuxia back then. The pure Yang Sword Emperor. However, Wuxia didn't disappoint the pure Yang Sword Emperor. His improvement is very fast, and now, his cultivation base has actually caught up to the pure Yang Sword Emperor. Naturally, it's too difficult to break through after reaching the Immortal Emperor realm. Everyone stared at the 6 immortal emperors in the air. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor stood against the Emperor Qianbian, Wuxia stood against Paragon Tantai, and the pure Yang Sword Emperor stood against Paragon Skyrock. In the boundlessly vast starry space, resplendent astral light cascaded downwards, instantly illuminating the entire sky, transforming it into a world of astral light. The 6 immortal emperors all shone together with the astral light, borrowing the power of the astral light, transforming it into Lawmight, allowing them to directly borrow the power of the astral light to do battle. People of the Dongshengshan Gate, listen up. After this battle, there will no longer be any Eastern Sage 13 prefectures in the immortal realms. From now on, the 13 prefectures will be governed by the immortal Qianbian Gate. In this immortal war, many immortals have fallen. It isn't easy to cultivate, and the path to immortality is even more arduous. I don't wish to see more casualties and more people dying here. For those from the Dongshengshan Gate, leave the battlefield now, and my immortal Qianbian Gate will let bygones be bygones. If you still refuse to leave, you better consider the consequences yourself. Bai Wuya's voice thundered through the heavens and earth. His voice contained an intense self-confidence, as though in this emperor-level battle, the 3 immortal emperors of the immortal Qianbian Gate would definitely be victorious for sure. Countless experts of the Dongshengshan Gate felt their hearts trembling. Now that the battle has reached this point, their confidence was slowly eroded away. Even the descendants of the immortal Qianbian Gate had such a miserable ending. Indeed, they had too much hope for this immortal war. Many people felt disheartened. This was especially so for immortal Foundation characters. When they saw their comrades and friends dying like weeds, and how many of them died in a single sweep, only they themselves could understand the impact of this. Shameless boasting. Paragon Tantai's aura was incomparably tyrannical. He stepped out, causing light to illuminate the sky. With a wave of his hand, an extremely tyrannical attack instantly appeared before Bai Wuya. The speed of the attack was simply inconceivable. Bai Wuya's eyes gleamed with intense astral light. His eyes flickered with a divine glow, directly enveloping his opponent's attack, instantly shattering it. Boom! Paragon Tantai abruptly stepped out. A boundless tyrannical aura radiated from him, causing this entire space to tremble unstably. Even for the experts below, they could feel the heavens and earth trembling, as though it was about to shatter. A battle between immortal emperors. The might exuded by it caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. However, Bai Wuya didn't seem to feel anything. He directly stepped out as a divine glow shot out from his eyes. At this instant, the projection of his divine eyes appeared, enveloping the entire space. In fact, a surge of destructive might directly gushed into Paragon Tantai's body, ignoring his defenses, wanting to destroy everything. Scram! Tyrannical might erupted forth from Paragon Tantai. He clenched his fist, causing the heavens and earth to shatter. However, after everything was destroyed, Bai Wuya still stood there. A white-robed immortal emperor, unparalleled in his generation. How powerful! Bai Wuya's eyes seemed to be able to form a world of their own, unparalleled in might. The hearts of everyone trembled. At this moment, the other 2 emperor-rank battles also erupted. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor and the Emperor Qianbian borrowed the power of astral light from the constellations. Their battle shook the heavens and earth, causing only destructive might to exist. Bolts of immortal lightning unceasingly rained down, causing people to feel despair. Just a single strand of lightning was enough to destroy someone. Luckily, there were immortal emperors below. They unleashed their strength and blocked the attacks from the sky. The last battle was between Paragon Skyrock and the Pure Yang Sword Emperor. Paragon Skyrock had the speed of a skyrock, as well as supreme attacks. Each of his strikes were faster than lightning, capable of tearing apart the void. However, regardless of speed or attack, the Pure Yang Sword Emperor wasn't any weaker compared to Paragon Skyrock. His sword glowed with the pure light of the sun, and when it cascaded down from the sky, it was even more resplendent compared to the battle between Eastern Sage and the 1,000 transformations. Infused into his pure Yang sword art, each of his attacks were inconceivably powerful. Paragon Skyrock actually didn't dare to clash head-on against him. At this moment, pure sunlight cascaded down from the sky, enveloping this entire space. The Pure Yang Sword Emperor pointed his finger forward as millions upon millions of beams of light shot towards Paragon Skyrock. Each beam of light contained pure Yang sword might. Paragon Skyrock arced through the void, flickering like a heavenly rock. His speed was inconceivably fast, and he could evade all attacks in a flash. But at this moment, the Pure Yang Sword Emperor's figure descended and slashed down with his sword. The entire void was enveloped by a destructive sword might. Paragon Skyrock roared. He blasted out with his palms as millions of rocks shot out in anger. Instantly, the sounds of explosions rang out unceasingly. The pure Yang Sword Emperor directly rushed into the fray as beams of sword light slashed out. Each of his sword strikes contained a supremely powerful attack. In just a short instant, countless beams of sword might slashed out. Paragon Skyrock is trapped. The eyes of everyone flashed. The powerful Paragon Skyrock was trapped in an area by the pure Yang Sword Emperor's sword art. If this continued, Paragon Skyrock would definitely be defeated. Bai Wuya also has the upper hand. They then turned their gazes to another battlefield. Bai Wuya was fighting against Paragon Tantai. Bai Wuya had the upper hand and was slowly closing in, actually injuring his opponent. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor basically can't do anything to the Emperor of Qianbian. In fact, he's being held back by the Emperor of Qianbian. The situation of the 3 Emperor-ranked battles caused everyone to be taken aback. There were Immortal Foundation experts of the Dongshengshan Gate, who started to retreat. What was the purpose of them joining the Dongshengshan Gate? Undoubtedly, it was because of strength. But now, it seemed that they might lose this Emperor-ranked battle, and their lives would be in danger. What meaning was there for them to stay? There was no need for them to die together with the Dongshengshan Gate. After that, more and more people started to retreat. The moment someone retreated, a chain reaction would occur. The army of the Dongshengshan Gate was in an uproar. First, it was the Immortal Foundation experts. After that, the Immortal King experts also started to retreat. All of them were prepared to listen to Bai Wuya's advice and retreat. The situation is already over. Everyone silently mused when they saw this scene. Trash. The immortal emperors of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom also arrived. When they saw the situation of the Dongshengshan Gate's defeat, they cursed silently in their hearts. They came here in such a grandiose manner, yet they were actually defeated. 3 immortal emperors were suppressed. The Dongshengshan Gate couldn't be revived. They even wasted their efforts to reinforce some powerful immortal kings of the Dongshengshan Gate. Some of them even died in battle. Their losses were extremely heavy. Zidi's countenance was extremely unsightly. The immortal Qianbian Gate was originally on the same side as the Chongqing the Great. Clearly, they weren't willing to see the immortal Qianbian Gate grow stronger. However now, the situation was already over. The immortal Qianbian Gate's rule over the 13 prefectures was already unstoppable. What do you all think? Zidi transmitted his voice to the immortal emperors. A defeat is a defeat. But it's fine as well. After this defeat, Eastern Sage's many years of hard work would all go to waste. In addition to the fact that his son was killed, he would definitely go crazy. Zidi coldly transmitted his voiceover. The immortal emperors all understood in their hearts. Even if the immortal Qianbian Gate had the advantage, it was impossible for them to kill Eastern Sage. As long as Eastern Sage didn't die, he would go all out for revenge. Chapter 1396. As the battle continued, the 2 paragons, Tantai and Wind Rock, were on the verge of collapsing. They were being suppressed to their limits, and it seemed like they wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. Also, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor himself was being held back by the thousands of clones. He basically had no time to help his 2 subordinates. Retreat. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor spoke. A moment later, those who had yet to retreat felt as though they had been granted amnesty. After all, some of them were core characters of the Dongshengshan Gate. If the Dongxing Heaven Emperor wanted to settle the score with them, none of them would be able to escape. All of them would die. However, as the sound of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor's voice faded, everyone no longer had any reservations and started to retreat. Before this, I told you guys to retreat, but you guys didn't. Now that you guys are retreating, it's too late. Kill them all. The Emperor Qianbian coldly spoke, his voice shaking the heavens and earth. Before the Emperor-ranked battle erupted, the Dongshengshan Gate still had the ability to resist. The Immortal Kings and Immortal Foundation experts weren't much weaker. This was especially so for the Immortal Foundation realm. The Emperor Qianbian gave the enemy a chance to retreat in order to reduce the casualties on his side. After all, he didn't wish for the people of the Immortal Qianbian Gate to die in battle. However, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor wasn't willing to do so. He wouldn't rest until he annihilated them. Now that the emperor-ranked battle had already begun, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was certain that they would win for sure. The people of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor started to flee one after another. Their morale crumbled. Now that they had the absolute advantage, how could they allow their enemies to retreat? Kill him. Qin Wentian commanded Qi Yu and the others, pointing his finger at Paragon Golden Cauldron. Since the immortal battle had already reached this state, they might as well wipe out the main force of their enemies, reducing the amount of trouble the immortal Qianbian Gate might encounter. After this immortal battle, the immortal Qianbian Gate would unify the 13 prefectures. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor would definitely hate them to the core, and there was no doubt that he would take revenge. Also, those loyal to the Dongxing Heaven Emperor would also participate in the revenge. In that case, these loyal characters must be the first to be slaughtered. Qin Wentian also stepped out, chasing after the people of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Right now, everything was already set in stone. Everyone understood that this immortal battle has ended. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor wasn't merely defeated, he was defeated miserably. Pooh. At this moment, an incomparably resplendent sword of pure yang manifested in the air, wanting to annihilate everything. Even space itself was about to be turned into ashes. A terrifying sound of collision rang out as the crowd heard a thunderous roar reverberating through the air. There was an incomparably terrifying amount of destructive energy in the air. Paragon Skyrock's body, even though he was unleashed to be, he was of Paragon, of paragons of blood. Did an immortal emperor die today? The hearts of everyone trembled when they saw this scene. The pure Yang Sword Emperor actually relied on his own strength to kill an immortal emperor. Paragon Skyrock? Die. With a loud roar, boundless light radiated from the sword as the pure yang energy cascaded downwards. Paragon Skyrock howled. His body started to burn as terrifying sword chi wreaked havoc in his body. I'm unwilling. Paragon Skyrock howled in grief. After that, he turned into ashes, vanishing from this world. The boundless light dissipated, signifying the death of an immortal emperor. This was an immortal battle. No matter how powerful an existence was, there would always be a chance of death. After the pure Yang Sword Emperor killed Paragon Skyrock, his silhouette flashed as he sped towards another battlefield. This was the battlefield between Bai Wuya and Paragon Tantai. In this battlefield, Bai Wuya was already suppressing his opponent. If he was given enough time, he might even be able to kill Paragon Skyrock alone. But once the pure Yang Sword Emperor joined in, there was no doubt that this would be the doomsday of Paragon Tantai. Regarding this point, Paragon Tantai naturally understood as well. Hence, when the pure Yang Sword Emperor rushed towards his battlefield, he started to retreat, wanting to leave the battlefield. He understood the strength of Paragon Skyrock, and the pure Yang Sword Emperor had already killed him. From this, he could tell how strong the pure Yang Sword Emperor was. If he joined forces with Bai Wuya again, only death would await him. At this moment, he could only leave. However, how could Bai Wuya allow him to leave so easily? Right now, his thoughts were the same as many others. Since things have already reached this stage, he should kill the core members of the pure Yang Sword Emperor if he could. Being merciful to one's enemies was equivalent to being cruel to oneself. Banish. Bai Wuya coldly spoke. A heavenly eye appeared in the sky. The light from this eye directly enveloped Paragon Tantai, locking him in place. Paragon Tantai was incomparably tyrannical, wanting to break through everything. He wanted to leave, but he discovered that he was trapped within, unable to do so. The figure of the pure Yang Sword Emperor arrived. Everyone sighed when they saw this scene. This time around, Paragon Tantai was destined to face his doomsday. Just Bai Wuya alone was already enough to cause Paragon Tantai to have no way to deal with him. With the addition of the pure Yang Sword Emperor, who killed Paragon Skyrock, the ending could already be predicted. Two immortal emperors joined forces. And as expected, Paragon Tantai was soon in imminent danger. After that, under the gazes of everyone, Bai Wuya and the pure Yang Sword Emperor's attacks blasted into his body. A terrifying destructive might erupted forth as an unwilling scream of misery rang out. Yet another immortal emperor died on the spot. 2 immortal emperors died killed. Bai Wuya and the pure Yang Sword Emperor exchanged glances. After that, their silhouettes flashed as they sped towards the final battlefield. The battlefield where the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Emperor Qianbian were at. Although they were still far away, the pure Yang Sword Emperor already slashed out with his sword. Bai Wuya's eyes gleamed with a terrifying light. Although they were initial stage immortal emperors and couldn't threaten Dongxing Heaven Emperor, their attacks could at least cause him to feel troubled. In that case, his hands and legs would be tied. At the level of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor and Emperor Qianbian, a moment of distraction was sufficient to deal a fatal blow. Everyone was very clear about this point. At this instant, countless terrifying fist lights manifested in the air, destroying everything. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. The Emperor Qianbian's incarnations all exploded. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor stepped out, his eyes staring in the direction of Qin Wentian, as terrifying law might gush towards Qin Wentian like a raging storm. Unruly. An intense light erupted from Emperor Yu as an incomparably resplendent arrow appeared, causing Eastern Sage's expression to turn ashen. However, the surge of energy still shot towards Qin Wentian. Qi. An arrow shot out, traversing through the air. Eastern Sage roared in rage as he blasted out a boundless holy annihilation fist. However, the arrow directly penetrated through, slamming into his immortal body. His body twisted and a piercing sound rang out as a wound appeared on his waist. At the same time, his body was flung far away. "Father, save me!" A roar rang out. This was the voice of a son of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Bai Wuya's eyes radiated might, enveloping this son of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. "Bai Wuya, you dare?" Eastern Sage roared. "You asked for it." Bai Wuya coldly spoke. "Die." As the sound of his voice faded, another son of Eastern Sage screamed in agony as he was directly killed by Bai Wuya. "Eastern Sage, you were the one who didn't follow the rules first. Don't blame me for being ruthless." Emperor Qianbian coldly spoke. "For those who enter the Dongshengxian Gate, kill them all without mercy." The Dongxing Heaven Emperor stared at the scene before him. Another son of his begged for help, but he couldn't save him. This time around, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor felt as though his heart was being pierced by blades. With a groan of misery, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor coughed out a mouthful of fresh blood. "Emperor Yu, what do you mean by participating in this immortal war?" Zidi coldly spoke. Although he didn't mind the Dongxing Heaven Emperor being defeated, he couldn't allow Eastern Sage to die here. "Before this, I've already reminded you not to break the rules. If there's a next time, it won't just be a single arrow." Emperor Yu coldly spoke. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor glanced at the scene below. A good game of chess turned into a checkmate. Almost all of his forces were wiped out. In fact, even the descendants he brought here all died here. Ha ha. All of a sudden, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor started laughing uproariously. His eyes gleamed with a blood-red light as he stared at the Emperor Qianbian, Emperor Yu, Bai Wuya and Qin Wentian. His killing intent towards these four rose to the extreme. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor had never wanted to kill so much before. But he couldn't kill these people. Just a single Emperor Yu was enough to make him suffer miserably. However, Emperor Yu also couldn't kill him. Because Eastern Sage knew that if Emperor Yu truly wanted to kill him, Zidi and the others would definitely act. Right now, everyone knew that although Emperor Yu appeared to be neutral, appearing as a follower of an ancient emperor, in truth, he was on the side of the immortal Qianbian Gate. Or more accurately, he was on the side of Qin Wentian, the successor of ancient Emperor Yi. Everything that happened today, Eastern Sage, will remember it. The long hair of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor fluttered madly in the wind. He no longer had the air of a ruler. The him at this moment seemed to have gone mad. His cold eyes swept over everyone before he turned and departed. The Emperor Qianbian didn't chase after him. Although they could suppress Eastern Sage, it was basically impossible for them to kill him. Let alone the fact that Zidi and the others were here as well. They wouldn't allow the Dongxing Heaven Emperor to die. Farewell. Zidi and the others also departed when they saw that the battle had ended. They initially hoped for Eastern Sage to win, but the Dongshengxian Gate was too disappointing and ended up in such a miserable state. But what did this have to do with them? As long as the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was still alive, everything would be fine. The Emperor Qianbian and the others didn't feel any joy from victory. Although this victory caused everyone to heave a sigh of relief, they couldn't feel any joy when they stared at the corpses on the ground. How many experts had died in this immortal war? Also, Eastern Sage didn't die. He would definitely be a huge hidden danger. Qin Wentian also furrowed his brows. Although they won this battle, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor had already been forced to the brink of madness. The so-called rules could no longer bind him. In the future, as long as the Dongxing Heaven Emperor finds an opportunity, he would definitely kill him, as well as those from the immortal Qianbian Gate. To a madman, there was nothing he wouldn't do. Rebuild the immortal sect. For now, don't leave the Cloud Prefecture City. Let the 13 prefectures operate on their own. Ignore them for now. The Emperor Qianbian commanded. As long as the Dongxing Heaven Emperor didn't die, it was better for them not to govern the 13 prefectures. If not, they would just be sending people to be killed by the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. But since they won this battle, the 13 prefectures could already be considered as the property of the immortal Qianbian Gate. Chapter 1397. After everyone left, the immortal Qianbian Gate cleaned up the aftermath of the battle. For those who contributed, their names would be recorded down. At the same time, those who were proficient in Earth attribute energy were sent to rebuild the immortal gate. The immortal Qianbian Gate has to expand. In the future, our immortal gate will be erected in the Cloud Prefecture City. Everyone from the immortal Qianbian Gate will stay in the immortal gate and inscribe a grand formation in the surroundings. Emperor Qianbian spoke. Everyone nodded silently. They had to be more careful in the future. The existence of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor would definitely be a huge problem in the future. This was the reason why immortal wars and emperor-level battles wouldn't erupt easily. Once an immortal war erupted, if the immortal emperors of the other side couldn't be killed, it would be a huge hidden danger. If an immortal emperor put down his pride and went to hunt the juniors of your sect, the consequences would be extremely severe. Before this, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was already showing signs of madness. He would definitely not give up so easily. Wuxia Wentian. Emperor Qianbian called out. A moment later, Bai Wuxia and Qin Wentian stepped out, walking to the side of the Emperor Qianbian. The two of you have to be especially careful. The first target that the Dongxing Heaven Emperor wants to deal with might be the two of you. Emperor Qianbian spoke. Everyone could sense the hatred the Dongxing Heaven Emperor had for Bai Wuxia and Qin Wentian. Naturally, there was also the Emperor Qianbian and Emperor Yu. However, the Emperor Qianbian and Emperor Yu were strong enough, Eastern Sage wouldn't be able to deal with them. In that case, there was a high possibility that the Emperor Qianbian would target Qin Wentian and Bai Wuxia. Qin Wentian nodded. Wentian, why don't you come to my imperial palace? As for the wedding between you and Qing'er, the two of you will have to discuss it yourselves. If Eastern Sage dares to cause trouble in the Evergreen Kingdom, he will definitely pay a price. Chongqing the Great walked over. Qin Wentian's growth caused him to be shocked. Before this, although he had betrothed Qing'er to Qin Wentian, he still felt that the wedding would take many years. However, he didn't expect that Qin Wentian would break through to the Immortal King realm so quickly, and was already strong enough to kill a mid-stage immortal king like Dongxing Kuan. That's fine as well. Emperor Qianbian nodded. If Qin Wentian went to the Evergreen Kingdom, he would feel more at ease. There was the Chongqing the Great in the Evergreen Kingdom, as well as the mysterious White Emperor, as well as the Supreme Treasure, the Eternal Evergreen Tree. If the Dongxing Heaven Emperor dared to go there to kill Qin Wentian, the Chongqing the Great might use the Eternal Evergreen Tree in his rage. If Eastern Sage didn't have any helpers, the Evergreen Emperor wouldn't dare to act recklessly in Fate Royal City. After settling the matters here, I will use the teleportation array to head to the Evergreen Immortal Empire. It has been a long time since I last saw Qing'er. Qin Wentian didn't reject the Chongqing the Great's invitation. At the same time, his heart was filled with the desire to grow even faster. Although defeating the Dongxing Gate had resolved the danger temporarily, he still couldn't afford to relax in the slightest. After all, there were many major characters in the eastern regions who were eyeing him covetously. Right. The Chongqing the Great nodded. After that, everyone bid their farewells. Qin Wentian thanked Emperor Yu and the others before sending them off with his gaze. After the battle, the Cloud Prefecture was exceptionally quiet. Those immortal kings who didn't leave felt their hearts trembling. At the same time, news of the outcome of the battle spread to all corners of the eastern regions. The Dong Shengshan Gate gathered an immortal army and used the art of war against the immortal Qianbian Gate, occupying a total of 5 prefectures. The Cloud Prefecture was the only prefecture left. They even surrounded the Cloud Prefecture and sent out 4 armies to the immortal Qianbian Gate, raising it to flat ground. Just when everyone thought that the Dong Shengshan Gate would be able to destroy the immortal Qianbian Gate with ease, the Dong Shengshan Gate was actually defeated. The Dong Shengshan Gate that had governed the 13 prefectures for countless years, and had deep foundations and created many armies, actually lost to the immortal Qianbian Gate that was founded a mere 100 years ago. Such an ending was truly shocking. The strength of the immortal Qianbian Gate shook the entire eastern regions. But there were also people who speculated that the strength of the immortal Qianbian Gate was definitely because of the participation of many major powers. It wasn't just the strength of the immortal Qianbian Gate alone. After this defeat, the major powers of the 13 prefectures all understood who would be the hegemon of the 13 prefectures in the future. The name of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures would soon be changed to the 1,000 Transformations 13 prefectures. The Dong Shengshan Gate, which was still active in the countless particle worlds, would also be disbanded. These people were the reserve forces of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, and were the weakest among them. Many of them were at the Immortal Foundation realm, and only after passing through many rounds of selections would they have the chance to enter the core of the Immortal Sect. They didn't even have the qualifications to participate in the war, and it was impossible for them to make a comeback. A hegemon of an era had fallen in this war. To the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor, this war robbed him of everything he had. Right now, he was only left with an emperor palace as well as some women. His many descendants were all left behind in the war. Not even a single one of them could be brought back with him. Within the Dong Shengshan Gate, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor sat alone on the throne in the Emperor Palace, drinking wine. His expression was so heavy that it was terrifying. At this moment, several figures walked over. They were none other than Zidi, the immortal emperor of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, and the others. Zidi spoke. "Can we sit down and have a drink together?" The Dongxing Heaven Emperor inclined his head. His expression was cold as he stared at the people before him. He then spoke in anger. "You guys still have the face to come and see me? Eastern Sage, your words are wrong. We have already given you a lot of strength, but we were still defeated. Could it be that you want us to interfere back then?" Zidi was somewhat unhappy. He then continued. "I can understand your current feelings, but an immortal war erupted between your 2 hegemonic powers. Everyone in the world knows about this. If we interfered, it would be the same as announcing the start of a chaotic war in the eastern regions. Didn't you hear Emperor Yu's words? If we interfere and kill Qin Wentian, he might kill my descendants." Emperor Yu. The eyes of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor flickered with killing intent. He coldly stared at the people before him. He naturally understood the thoughts of these people. He loathed them, but what they said was right. He still needed the strength of the alliance, or he would always be alone. If not, he would always be alone. If he wanted revenge, he mustn't fall out with these people. "Eastern Sage, we will think of a way for you to take revenge for this debt." Zidi spoke. "How? Hunt down some insignificant people? What's the point? I want the Emperor Qianbian to die. I want Bai Wuya and Qin Wentian to die as well." The eyes of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor were filled with killing intent. "Do you all dare to act or not? You have always wanted to destroy the Evergreen Kingdom, but you have been hesitating. Could it be that you want to wait for 100 or even 1,000 years? Naturally not. It's just that the strength we have now is still insufficient. The 9 Emperors' immortal state might be very strong, but they didn't have any major characters that died. They wouldn't send out too much of their strength. It's the same for the White Tiger people as well. What's the use of sending out a few demon emperors? If we can get all of them to participate in this war, both the Evergreen Kingdom and the immortal Qianbian Gate would definitely be destroyed. Zidi coldly spoke. These two hegemonic powers were extremely strong, but they only sent out a few immortal emperors. They didn't send out any core members of their faction. What should we do then? Eastern Sage coldly asked. Unless one of their immortal emperors dies. If that's the case, things would be different. Zidi's eyes flashed with coldness. Let's wait. We need an opportunity. You shouldn't act recklessly. Most probably, the Emperor Qianbian and the others would be on guard against you. Do your best not to act. Once you do, you have to deal a fatal blow. That's right. Eastern Sage, your existence would cause them to feel uneasy. As long as you don't appear, they wouldn't be able to rest in peace. An immortal emperor from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom spoke. The eyes of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor flashed with coldness. This was indeed the case. Before this, he initially planned to take revenge immediately, killing everyone who came out from the immortal Qianbian Gate. But now after hearing Zidi's words, he changed his plan. If he wanted to act, he had to kill them all in a single strike. What meaning was there in killing some ant-like characters? How could this be considered revenge? Eastern Sage, actually I have a suggestion, but it's somewhat dishonorable. I wonder if you would be willing to listen to it. Zidi suddenly spoke. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor inclined his head and stared at Zidi. Speak. I heard that the conflict between you and Qin Wentian started from a particle world, and the daughter of the Evergreen Immortal Emperor was also involved. You have been to Qin Wentian's particle world before. Zidi spoke, his words causing the eyes of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor to flash. Back then, a battle erupted in that particle world. Qin Wentian would definitely be on guard, and bring those who are related to him with him. It would be extremely difficult to act against him again in that particle world. Even if he brought his loved ones with him, think about it. He grew up in a particle world. Could it be that he has no emotions? There are still many people and powers who are related to him in that particle world. Can he bear to leave them all behind? Zidi slowly spoke. You want me to act against a particle world? Those people are of no importance to me. If I want to commit such a great sin of slaughter, although the Dongxing Heaven Emperor hated Qin Wentian to the bone, he still had some rationality left in him. After all, the people of a particle world could be considered innocent. There were countless lives in a particle world, and they were all weak. If he wanted to destroy the particle world, the lives of the people would definitely be plunged into an abyss of misery. More importantly, committing such a great sin of slaughter wouldn't be able to kill Qin Wentian. There was no meaning to it. I didn't ask you to destroy a particle world. Why don't you send people to investigate the particle world Qin Wentian came from, and investigate his background? I believe given his talent, he would definitely be extremely famous in that particle world. It wouldn't be too hard to find out. After that, you can act against him. Zidi spoke. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor fell silent, as though he was contemplating. Right now he would definitely be hiding from you. If you want to kill him, it would depend on whether you can throw away the face of an immortal emperor, or not. I'll bid my farewell first. Zidi spoke and directly departed. On the other side, in the immortal Qianbian Gate, after the emperor rank battle ended and the immortal Qianbian Gate won, Qin Wentian immediately thought of his family and friends who were sent to his particle world. Although the possibility of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor acting against his particle world was very low, he still had to be on guard. In one of the many particle worlds around the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, in a certain particle world, two travel-worn people were currently drinking wine in an inn. Among these two people, one was clad in black robes. His eyes gleamed with sharpness and he looked extremely young. Yet his eyes were extremely deep. The other was an old man with an unfathomable countenance. Although the old man had a smile on his face, the young man knew how powerful this old man was. I've already completed your Immortal King training. Can you agree to my conditions now? The young man asked. What do you want me to agree to? The old man laughed as he stared at the young man. Do me a favor. Seal the particle world we met in the past. The young man spoke. I initially thought that you would ask me to tell you the secret of the Immortal Palace again. The old man laughed. Ever since I met you, how many tests have I completed that you arranged for me? You keep saying that I'm not qualified. Fine, I can't be bothered to ask anymore. If I'm not qualified, so be it. If there's a chance, I will leave by myself. I don't care about your dog-fart inheritance. This daddy doesn't want it anymore. The young man cursed in rage. Young man, don't be so hot-tempered. Isn't it an interesting thing to discover that the inheritances you obtained are getting stronger and stronger? Do you know what kind of dog shit luck you have? The old man spoke in a low voice. Scram. The young man couldn't endure it any longer. Chapter 1398. Many days have passed since the immortal war between the Dongshengshan Gate and the immortal Qianbian Gate. However, the countless particle worlds in the immortal realms were still operating normally. The particle world that Qin Wentian came from was the same as well. The instant the immortal war ended, Qin Wentian immediately sent people to bring many people back to the immortal realms. This time around, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was slaughtered too miserably. Not only was his foundation destroyed, the 4 paragons who followed him all died as well. Right now, no one dared to imagine what state the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was in. Although the probability of him implicating innocent particle worlds was extremely low, Qin Wentian still had to be on guard. However, some of the people who were sent back weren't willing to head back to the immortal realms. An example was Qin Wentian's foster father, Qin Chuan. He felt that the immortal realms weren't suitable for him. Although Qin Wentian did his best to help them change, he was still far from being able to catch up to the people of the immortal realms. Qin Chuan also didn't want to continue relying on the immortal Qianbian Gate. Even if he went out once, he wouldn't be able to travel far. Hence, Qin Chuan chose to stay behind. Qin Wentian's elder sister Qin Yao naturally accompanied him. There were also many others who weren't used to life in the immortal realms. They didn't leave with the people of the Dongshengshan Gate sent by Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian could understand this. The particle world that Qin Wentian grew up in back then was no longer the same as it was in the past. Back then, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor had once initiated an immortal war here, causing countless lives to be lost. Just the aftershocks of the Immortal King War had already caused the deaths of countless people. After all, the people of particle worlds weren't people of the immortal realms. They basically didn't have the ability to protect themselves. Even the slightest aftershock from the aftershocks would be supreme to them, able to instantly annihilate them. In that war, countless people died. Everyone remembered the tyrannical Dongxing Heaven Emperor. Naturally, they also remembered the Emperor Qianbian who saved them, the white-robed immortal king, by Wuxia, as well as the legendary character of this world, Qin Wentian. If it wasn't for these people, the consequences would truly be unimaginable. The people of this particle world even hoped that Qin Wentian and the white-robed immortal king would be able to destroy the tyrannical Dongxing Heaven Emperor one day. However, many years passed. Although that war created a calamity, it actually accelerated the growth of this particle world. The people of this particle world had witnessed immortal king-level battles, and personally witnessed supreme characters. They knew that there's always a sky beyond a sky. In addition, there were also some immortal kings who died. Their blood flowed on the ground, transforming into supreme treasures. The law energy from their battles scattered everywhere, transforming into ruins. From the start of that war, the particle world actually grew rapidly, giving birth to a large number of experts. In fact, some ruins created from the Immortal King War became places for experts to create. Many celestial phenomenon ascendants appeared, and there were even a few immortals who were born. If placed in the past, these immortals would be considered immortals who ruled the world. But now, everyone in this particle world knew that even immortals weren't considered much in the outside world. There were even more terrifying existences above immortals. Even the legendary character of their particle world, Qin Wentian, was already an immortal when he returned. Now that so many years have passed, it was unknown what level he had grown to. In this particle world, in the Grand Xia Empire, these days there wasn't much peace. In an inn, many people were drinking wine and chatting. Have you heard? Jiang Feng has become an immortal. How powerful! This supreme character who rose up all the way to becoming an immortal is truly shocking. Yeah, Jiang Feng is too terrifying. He looks like a young man, yet he has already become an immortal. It's said that he has only cultivated for a few hundred years, and looks like he's only in his 20s. I wonder how many beauties are in love with him, willing to give up everything for him. How good would it be if I was as powerful as him? At that time, I would be able to play with all the beauties in the world. Ha! A rough-looking man laughed. Stop dreaming. I've never heard of anyone more outstanding than Jiang Feng, let alone you. In this world, even if it's the most beautiful woman, which one of them is worthy of Jiang Feng? Someone struck a blow at him. Haha, that's right. Haven't you guys heard that the most beautiful women in the world are all pursuing Jiang Feng? Yeah, there's no one like him in the past or in the future. Someone added. Everyone was filled with praises, all of them sighing with emotion. This Jiang Feng could be said to be a legend under the heavens. Back then, he comprehended his insights in a secret realm and broke through to celestial phenomenon. From then on, his cultivation soared by leaps and bounds, growing stronger and stronger. A legendary character would naturally be pursued by countless people. No one like him in the past or in the future. Aren't you exaggerating a little too much? A voice filled with disdain rang out. After that, many people turned their gazes over only to see a group of young men and women seated there. The men were handsome while the women were beautiful. One of the women had a veil covering her face, but from her back view, she was clearly a supreme beauty. The person who spoke was a young man. Upon hearing his words, someone laughed. Little fellow, you are still young. What do you know about cultivation? Jiang Feng's talent isn't something you can understand. Frog at the bottom of a well. The young man mocked, his words causing the person who spoke to laugh. Yo, this little brat is still pretending to be profound. Why don't you tell me who can be compared to Jiang Feng? How could Jiang Feng have his current accomplishments? The young man asked. Naturally, it's because of his talent and fortuitous encounters. Someone replied. Where did his fortuitous encounters begin? The young man asked again. What do you want to say? His fortuitous encounters were the remnants of an immortal war back then. Although many years have passed and maybe you guys weren't even born then, have you already forgotten about that immortal war? Also, there was a true legend who came from our particle world back then. How glorious was he back then? He grew up in Chu, a remote place in Grand Xia, and ventured out into the outside world. He cultivated for less than 100 years, and when he returned, he was already an immortal. In fact, there were many unimaginably powerful characters who fought for him. What can Jiang Feng be compared to him? The young man's voice was solemn, recounting the legend. That proud gaze of his seemed to be talking about himself. Everyone fell silent for a moment. After which, a younger person retorted. How old are you? How would you know what happened back then? I've never witnessed the so-called legend before. How can I know if it's real or fake? Maybe it's just an exaggeration. But Jiang Feng is a true legend. Who can be compared to him? He's right. In front of that legend, Jiang Feng. A middle-aged man laughed. He's still far from being comparable. A dispute arose in the inn. Some of the younger people who worshipped Jiang Feng couldn't bear to see their idol being humiliated. As for those who had cultivated for a longer period of time, and had personally witnessed the immortal war back then, they would never be able to forget it. Even if some of them were still young back then, they would never be able to forget it. Who said that Jiang Feng is inferior to Qin Wentian? At this moment, a voice so gentle that it could seep into one's bones rang out. After which, a group of silhouettes walked into the inn. Instantly, the gazes of everyone landed on the beautiful woman in the center. Just a single glance and they were unable to shift their gazes away. That was a woman with charm that seeped into one's bones. Her skin was as white as jade, and her charming eyes could captivate souls. Just a smile from her beautiful eyes would cause everyone to feel as though their souls would be hooked away. She was an extremely famous beauty in the world, and Linglong. Many people referred to her as the #1 beauty in the world. And everyone knew that Linglong was in love with Jiang Feng. After Jiang Feng became an immortal, Linglong announced to the world that Jiang Feng would become her man. Why would she appear here? Many people felt puzzled. I heard that a phenomenon appeared in the Grand Xia Empire, and it's rumored that a supreme treasure would be born. Jiang Feng must have already arrived. Also recently many mysterious experts have appeared in Grand Xia, all of them extremely powerful, and Linglong must have come here because of Jiang Feng. The hearts of the spectators mused. It's just that the era is different. If Jiang Feng was born in the era of Qin Wentian, who says he wouldn't be more outstanding compared to him? And Linglong smiled. What do you guys think? The hearts of everyone trembled when they saw An Linglong's smile. How would they have any intention to refute her words? Fairy Anne's words are naturally correct. Fairy Anne must have a very deep understanding of Jiang Feng. Since she said so, it should be the case. Many people voiced out their agreement. And Linglong smiled in satisfaction. Vixen. The young man from before spoke in a low voice. After that, numerous gazes turned to him as cold light flashed in the eyes of many. Impudent. How dare you speak to Fairy Anne in such a manner? Which clan's brat dares to act so atrociously outside? And Linglong glanced over, her gaze landing on the maiden beside the young man as she giggled. I was wondering who it was. So it's little sister Yuro. I heard that little sister Yuro's clan has a deep relationship with Qin Wentian. No wonder this little brother spoke up for Qin Wentian. Ouyang Yuro. The gazes of everyone turned to the veiled maiden as their hearts trembled. The number one beauty of Grand Xia, Ouyang Yuro? This was a supreme beauty comparable to An Linglong. Ouyang Yuro turned around and removed her veil, revealing a pure and beautiful countenance. Her beauty was flawless, untainted by dust, causing the people in the inn to exclaim in shock. They felt that this was a feast for their eyes. I heard that Sister Linglong has a vast network of friends, and knows everything under the heavens. Truly impressive. Ouyang Yuro softly spoke. The people she associates with are all men. The young man beside her spat out hatefully, and Linglong casually laughed, as she stared at the young man. I heard that Qin Wentian's old friend is named Ouyang Quangxing. If I'm not wrong, he should be Sister Yuro's uncle, right? At least you have some knowledge. The young man inclined his head as he spoke. Everyone understood. No wonder they spoke up for Qin Wentian. So it turned out that there was a layer of relationship between them. At this moment, the black-robed young man who had been sitting in a corner of the inn inclined his head and glanced in Ouyang Yuro's direction. A strange light flickered in his eyes. Ouyang Yuro referred to Ouyang Quangxing as her uncle. In that case, that lass who loved to follow Ouyang Quangxing all those years ago, was she the descendant of Ouyang Xiaolu? That girl's descendant had already grown into a slender and elegant woman. She was a great beauty. Several silhouettes walked into the inn. Among them, there were some who had their auras retracted yet were extremely terrifying. Others might not be able to sense how strong they were, but the black-robed young man could. Some of the things happening in this particle world seemed somewhat abnormal. That rumor of a treasure appearing was also abnormal. Chapter 1399. Recently, many immortals have appeared in this particle world. At this moment, some of the figures who entered the inn were naturally immortals. Their gazes swept through the inn before turning to An Linglong and Ouyang Yuro. One of them spoke. I didn't expect there to be such beauties in this particle world. Come and accompany me. As he spoke, he walked towards a table and sat down. His voice was filled with an indisputable tone. The expressions of the people in the surroundings all changed. This person said that this place was a particle world? In that case, they were outsiders? They were indeed outsiders from the immortal realms. It was rumored that a supreme treasure had appeared in this particle world and hence, they came here to join in the fun. However, they discovered that the people of this particle world were so weak that even the weakest immortals were referred to as hegemons. How pitiful! Didn't that mean that their existences were the hegemons of this world? Strength naturally gave birth to guts. This was especially so when one was strong enough to surpass everything. They would naturally be arrogant. And Linglong's expression changed. After that, she smiled and walked over. Are all of you from the particle world? Your smiles are so alluring. Haha, seems like we are truly blessed in this particle world. The person who spoke earlier laughed uproariously. Don't forget our official business. Recently, things have been strange in this particle world. We aren't the only ones here. Another person reminded, sounding more composed and not as lecherous as the earlier person. Big brother, why must you be so reserved? It isn't easy for us to come here to relax. Wouldn't it be fine if we enjoy ourselves for a while? I won't antagonize people from the immortal realms. The women of this particle world are all for us to play with. There are two great beauties here. Which one do you want? The person who spoke earlier was extremely brazen, completely disregarding the people in the inn. Up to you. His big brother glared at him. He then glanced at the two beauties. They were truly very beautiful. If they became immortals, they would be even more beautiful. Haha, big brother likes the pure ones. In that case, I want this vixen. The young man laughed. He then turned his gaze to Oyangyuro. Why are you not coming over? Oyangyuro's expression changed. The young man beside her spoke. My uncle is also someone from the immortal realms. He's an immortal. Oh, an immortal from a particle world dares to threaten me? Ah, that person laughed uproariously. If you don't scram over here, you will have to bear the consequences. As he spoke, his aura gushed forth. A terrifying immortal might engulf the area, causing everyone in the inn to shudder in fear. No one dared to say a word. I've taken a fancy to this woman first. A cold voice rang out, causing the eyes of those people to flicker, as they stared at the black-robed man in the corner who had spoken. That person had his head lowered the entire time, and was silent. His facial features seemed quite young, but also somewhat indistinct. It was as if there was a mysterious power that could block the vision of others, preventing them from seeing him clearly. Immortal. Those people immediately knew that this was also an immortal. The big brother from before couldn't help but say, since sire saw him first, we naturally won't steal from you. The other man had an unsightly expression on his face. However, he couldn't see through the black-robed man, so he let out a cold harumph and didn't say anything. He simply stared at Linglong. Don't worry, I mean no harm. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice to Oyangyuro, causing her nervous heart to relax. She glanced at the mysterious black-robed man, and felt that this person was very strange. Even his features were somewhat blurry. She could clearly see him, but she couldn't see him clearly. At this moment, in the Grand Xia Empire, a powerful strand of immortal sense swept past everyone. The expressions of the people at the table changed as they mumbled in a low voice, Immortal King. Their immortal senses extended out, and saw a supreme figure appearing in a certain palace in Grand Xia. He stood there like a divinity, peering down at everyone in the world. How small. Such a small place can actually nurture a treasure. That figure calmly spoke. His voice actually rang out through the entire Grand Xia. Master, this must be an opportunity bestowed to you by the heavens. A person laughed, and Linglong's beautiful eyes flashed as she spoke in a low voice. Jiangfeng. It's Jiangfeng? The people in the inn felt shock in their hearts as they stared at Linglong. Jiangfeng took a master? Also, the person who took him as his master seemed to be that terrifying character that the immortals in the inn referred to as an immortal king. Maybe. Jiangfeng, your talent is extremely good. It's a pity that you have to stay in such a small place. After this ends, leave with me. This seat will nurture you well. That person continued. At this moment, everyone in Grand Xia felt their hearts trembling. Jiangfeng was as expected of a supreme genius. There was actually a supreme character from the upper world who valued his talent and wanted to accept him as a disciple. Senior, I'm Jiangfeng's woman. At this moment, Linglong, who was in the inn, laughed, her words causing the expressions of the people here to change. That man coldly snorted. Are you trying to scare me? This little girl doesn't dare to. Lingling can be considered quite famous in this particle world. Everyone in this world knows that I will be Jiangfeng's woman in the future. And Linglong spoke in a gentle voice. After that, a voice drifted over. Jiangfeng, there's a woman in an inn nearby who claims to be your woman. She seems to be threatened by someone. Go and take a look. Yes, master. Jiangfeng nodded. A moment later, The expressions of the men in the inn turned extremely unsightly to behold. Through their immortal senses, they could see Jiang Feng's arrival. Not long after, the inn was directly torn apart by sword chi as a handsome figure soared through the air, exuding an incomparably carefree aura. And Linglong. Jiang Feng glanced at the woman. And Linglong's silhouette flashed as she directly flew towards Jiang Feng, leaning against him. A moment later, the expressions of the men below changed. They stood up and clasped their hands. Earlier we have offended Fairy, please forgive us. Since when did this particle world allow you to be so brazen? Sever one of your arms or die. Jiang Feng tyrannically spoke, causing the expression of that man to turn extremely ugly to behold. Pucci. A beam of saber light flashed as that man's arm was severed, causing him to scream in agony. Big brother, you. That young man stared at his big brother as he exclaimed in shock. I already told you not to act recklessly. You are courting trouble for yourself. His big brother coldly spoke. After that he turned to Jiang Feng and spoke, please forgive me. Jiang Feng coldly snorted. After that he brought in Linglong away, exuding an incomparably carefree aura. A commotion broke out in the inn. Those young men sighed in admiration. Did you see that? That's Jiang Feng, an unparalleled character of our particle world. How can that legendary Qin Wentian compare to him? The era is different now. The vision of the older generations is still stuck in the past. Jiang Feng is a hero of his generation, and has also taken on a supreme existence as a disciple. His future achievements are limitless. Elder sis. The young man from the Ouyang clan stared at Ouyang Yuro, feeling somewhat unhappy. Ouyang Yuro pursed her lips but didn't say anything. For the next period of time, more and more experts arrived in this particle world. In fact, there were even several immortal kings and groups of immortal foundation experts. The particle world was very small. With so many experts arriving, it was as though the entire world was filled with lofty immortals. In addition, they were all gathered in Grand Xia. A moment later, the entire particle world was in an uproar. Countless people went to the places where these supreme existences resided, hoping that they would have a chance to learn from them. There were also countless beauties who threw themselves into their arms, hoping that they would be able to leave this particle world and see the magnificence of the outside world. As for the treasures, several resplendent treasure lights appeared in Grand Xia, shooting up into the clouds, breaking apart the heavens and earth. However, they all vanished in an instant. Many experts searched everywhere but couldn't find them. Some said that it wasn't the right time for the treasures to appear yet. Once they did, it would surely cause an earth-shattering commotion. In fact, there were even rumors saying that a great calamity would befall the world. The golden era in the particle world caused countless people to be agitated. Everyone flocked to Grand Xia. Back then, they had personally witnessed how terrifying the battles between supreme existences were and knew how powerful those existences were. Naturally, there were also countless people who were nervous, afraid that a war like that would erupt again, would affect the entire world and bring about a calamity. As more and more experts entered the particle world, there would naturally be some evil characters who did whatever they wanted. They would kill people for a single word of disagreement, and were incomparably tyrannical, seizing all the beauties they saw, causing chaos in Grand Xia. There was no longer any law and order in the past. The black-robed young man walked in the Grand Xia Empire with a cold expression. He discovered that the master of Jiang Feng was actually a scum of the devil. He ordered Jiang Feng and many of his followers in the particle world to find beauties for him to enjoy while committing all sorts of evil deeds in the dark. Yet Jiang Feng was still acting sanctimonious on the outside, punishing evil and promoting kindness everywhere. Damn, that bastard Eastern sage. He actually acted against our particle world. The black-robed young man cursed in his heart. He was none other than Qin Wentian, but he was actually an avatar. Earlier, there was someone who wanted to deal with Ouyang Yuro, and he decided to act. After that, a strand of immortal sense swept over him. This strand of immortal sense was extremely terrifying and tyrannical to the extreme, wanting to see through him. He pretended not to know anything or he would definitely be seen through. This powerful immortal sense originated from none other than the Dongxing Heaven Emperor. He was outside the particle world, and was peeping at the entire world. Luckily, the energy he cultivated was different from his original self. He had also sealed some of his strength and some of his cultivation base, even sealing his facial features. Although his appearance could change easily, the aura in his body couldn't be changed. Eastern Sage's immortal sense swept through his body, and didn't find any abnormalities. Hence, he didn't pay too much attention to it. But from now on, he didn't dare to be careless and acted like an ordinary treasure hunter. Even if he saw something evil, he wouldn't dare to act. That damnable bastard, he still hasn't acted on what he promised me. Qin Wentian cursed in his heart. He came to this particle world precisely because he wanted to settle this matter once and for all. Right now, he could only hope that the old fellow would act quickly. In a certain palace in Grand Xia, the blazing fiend Immortal King walked out. Behind him, there was a maiden whose clothes were in disarray, revealing her flawless skin. Her breasts were faintly discernible, but her countenance was incomparably pale. This maiden was none other than Linglong. "Disciple, come over here." The blazing fiend Immortal King spoke. An instant later, Jiangfeng came over. When he saw Linglong's clothes in disarray, a strange look flashed through his eyes. "Disciple, do you blame master?" The blazing fiend Immortal King asked. "Disciple doesn't dare to. Also, this is Linglong's fortune." Jiangfeng respectfully replied. "Haha, it's good that you can think this way." The blazing fiend Immortal King laughed. "Right now you should focus all your energy on cultivation and not on women. It's not time for you to enjoy yourself yet. Don't waste too much energy on women. Do you understand? I will listen to master's teachings." Jiangfeng was still as respectful as ever. Linglong isn't bad. She takes good care of master. You can bring her away." The blazing fiend Immortal King spoke. "Also, there's another woman in the inn that day. You guys should remember who she is. Help master find her and bring her here." "Yes, master." Jiangfeng bowed and bade farewell. And Linglong followed after Jiangfeng. The blazing fiend Immortal King stared at their departing backs as his eyes flashed with coldness. Who was senior immortal emperor looking for exactly? Why didn't he just capture that person directly? Why did he have to go through so much trouble, causing such a commotion in this particle world just to lure him out? Could it be that this person wasn't in this particle world? But no matter, he would just enjoy it in peace. When he thought of this, the blazing fiend Immortal King smiled. These few days were pretty comfortable. Chapter 1400. In the Grand Xia Empire, the Ouyang aristocrat clan. The current Ouyang aristocrat clan was no longer the Ouyang aristocrat clan of the past. Right now, Ouyang Guangxing's younger sister, Ouyang Xiaolu, was the female clan leader. Qin Wentian walked to the entrance of the Ouyang aristocrat clan. With a sweep of his immortal sense, he knew the situation inside. He smiled and stepped out. "Sir, please halt." Someone blocked Qin Wentian's path. However, Qin Wentian only took a step out and directly vanished from their sight. This caused the countenances of the others to drastically change. They exchanged mutual glances and asked, "What should we do?" Right now in Grand Xia, experts are as common as the clouds. Many immortals have appeared. Could this young man be an immortal? If this is the case, it's best we don't offend him easily. Let's see what he wants to do. The two of them discussed. Earlier, they didn't even notice how the young man walked past them. In the training grounds of the Ouyang clan, Ouyang Yuro was currently sparring with someone. Her cultivation base was at the Heavenly Dipper realm, and could already be considered outstanding. When she fought, there was no trace of gentleness. Many people were spectating, including the young man from before. Qin Wentian stood under an ancient tree at the side of the training grounds, quietly watching as a faint smile appeared on his face. If one looked closely, Ouyang Yuro did resemble the shadow of Ouyang Xiaolu back then. At this moment, a voice of surprise rang out. The young man saw Qin Wentian and couldn't help but ask, "How did you come in?" "Naturally, I walked in." Qin Wentian laughed. After that, Ouyang Yuro stopped her battle. The gazes of everyone turned over as they felt shock in their hearts. This young man actually came so close to them without them noticing anything. This was definitely an extremely terrifying matter. This young man's cultivation base must be very high. The young man thought back to what happened in the inn that day. His eyes flickered as he asked, "You are an immortal? Why do you say that?" Qin Wentian asked. "That day you said that you fell in love with elder sister. Those people didn't say anything. Evidently, they were all fearful of you. Both of you should be at the same level, so you should be an immortal as well. Also, what you did earlier, was it because you wanted to help elder sister?" The teenager looked at Qin Wentian curiously. The person in front of him was still mysterious. He was clearly standing there, but he couldn't see his face clearly. Ouyang also looked curiously at the person in front of her. She only saw Qin Wentian calmly say, "I just feel that your elder sister is pretty, nothing else." His gaze contained hints of doting love, as though he was looking at a junior. Ouyang Guangxing's juniors were also his juniors. "Could it be that you've really fallen for my sister?" The youth stared at Qin Wentian and blinked. Qin Wentian instantly laughed. Although Ouyang was a great beauty, how could he possibly fancy a junior? "Yes, you're right." Qin Wentian joked. Ouyang beautiful eyes flashed. Upon hearing Qin Wentian's words, she actually felt a little embarrassed. She then replied, "Senior, please don't joke around. I still have to thank you for your help that day. This time, since I'm able to meet Senior in my clan, I can show my hospitality as a host. I just happened to be passing by, and saw you guys with my immortal sense. Since you invited me, I won't mind staying here for a while." Qin Wentian didn't stand on ceremony. He wanted to find an excuse to see if Ouyang Xiaolu was doing well or not. "It's my honor." Ouyang smiled radiantly. But at this moment, Qin Wentian suddenly furrowed his brows. He sensed an aura nearing them. As his immortal sense swept over, his expression turned strange. "Senior, what's wrong?" Ouyang asked when she saw Qin Wentian turning his head. "Someone is nearing." Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. An instant later, a commotion could be heard outside the Ouyang clan. After that, a group of experts directly flew over, exuding a powerful aura. The people of the Ouyang aristocrat clan naturally sensed it. Their silhouettes flickered as they sped over, heading towards the training grounds. Qin Wentian saw a group of celestial phenomenon ascendants. "Ouyang there's a major character who wishes to meet with you. Come with us." The person in the lead spoke domineeringly. After that, a group of people walked over, wanting to bring Ouyang away. "Impudent." The people from the Ouyang aristocrat clan coldly roared. Ouyang Xiaolu personally came. She still looked very young, but she was much more mature compared to before. Her beauty contained a sense of steadiness as she coldly spoke. "Who wants to meet with my daughter?" "Someone you can't afford to antagonize. If you don't want your entire clan to be annihilated, get her to come with us." That person threatened. Ouyang Xiaolu's countenance changed, becoming extremely unsightly to behold. Major character? Could it be one of those Immortal Foundation experts who came to Grand Xia? Right now, experts from all over the world gathered in Grand Xia. There were also countless immortals from the outside world. A storm of blood was about to descend. If there really was a major character who fancied her daughter, Ouyang that would definitely be a calamity. "I like this girl more. If there's a major character who fancied her, tell him to come here himself." Qin Wentian spoke. "Who the hell do you think you are? It's not your turn to speak." That person berated. Qin Wentian lifted his palms and slapped out in the air. With a thunderous boom, that person was directly sent flying up into the air. It was unknown how high he flew. The countenances of the others all changed as they stared at Qin Wentian. Scram. Qin Wentian took a step out as a terrifying immortal might gushed forth. Those people all turned pale. After that, they exchanged glances and sped away. "I have to thank Senior again." Ouyang spoke to Qin Wentian. "No worries." Qin Wentian waved his hands. Ouyang Xiaolu and the others stared at Qin Wentian. "Juniors, pay our respects to Senior." "There's no need to be so polite. I'm just taking a stroll. Just treat me to a cup of wine." Qin Wentian smiled. That's only natural. Prepare the banquet. Ouyang Xiaolu commanded. The people of her clan immediately started to prepare, and very swiftly, the banquet was ready. Qin Wentian and the others sat down. Ouyang Xiaolu let Qin Wentian sit on the host seat. Senior, are you from the immortal realms? Why are there so many experts gathered here? Ouyang Xiaolu asked. I'm from the immortal realms. As for why so many people are gathered here, it's because of the treasure. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed, but he didn't think so in his heart. He could sense the immortal sense of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, but the Dongxing Heaven Emperor didn't know of his existence. In that case, there was a high possibility that the treasure was man-made. There was only one reason why the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor wanted to pry into this particle world. However, the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor didn't act directly. In that case, the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor would surely use other methods to lure him out. Next, he would have to see where these people would return to. This treasure has truly harmed this particle world. If it wasn't for Senior today, the consequences would be unimaginable. Also, I don't know how much trouble would there be in the future. Ouyang Xiaolu spoke with worry. I have nothing to do anyway. I will stay here for a few days. Qin Wentian smiled. In that case, many thanks to Senior. Ouyang Xiaolu happily spoke. She stood up and bowed to Qin Wentian. There's no need to be so polite. Qin Wentian waved his hands. Seeing how calm the little lass from back then was, he couldn't help but to sigh in his heart at how fast time flies. Qin Wentian felt a sense of familiarity with this banquet. However, Ouyang Xiaolu and the others didn't know about this. In fact, Ouyang Xiaolu even asked, I have an elder brother in the immortal realms. Back then, I heard from my elder brother that his name is Qin Wentian, and he is very famous in the immortal realms. I wonder if Senior has heard of him before? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. After that he smiled. I've heard of him before. This man caused quite a huge commotion in the immortal realms. Is that true? How is elder brother Wentian doing now? I heard from my elder brother that he's very powerful, but I don't know how powerful he is exactly. Ouyang Xiaolu grew excited as she asked. I have no idea about that. Qin Wentian shrugged. He was somewhat taken aback that this last Ouyang Xiaolu still remembered him. The atmosphere at the banquet was peaceful. However, Qin Wentian's immortal sense continued to track them, and discovered that those people returned to a certain palace. There was a young man there, and it was none other than Jiang Feng. This Jiang Feng was known as the #1 genius of this particle world. He should have risen up after he left the immortal realms and became famous. However, he wasn't a benevolent character. Even an Linglong was handed over to the Blazing Fiend Immortal King by him. The Blazing Fiend Immortal King actually wanted Euro? Qin Wentian's immortal sense sensed everything as he furrowed his brows. It was very normal for an immortal king to enjoy the pleasures between a man and a woman. However, there was no need for the Blazing Fiend Immortal King to directly ask for Ouyang Euro. In that case, what was his goal exactly? Was it Eastern Sage? His immortal sense continued to extend out, sweeping through Grand Xia. An expert from Chu also arrived. This expert was extremely tyrannical and did whatever he wanted, akin to a tyrant. Why is there such a coincidence? Is he trying to lure me back to this particle world? Qin Wentian silently mused. If he didn't know that Eastern Sage was spying on this particle world, he might have acted out of anger and exposed himself. Just as Qin Wentian was contemplating, a thunderous roar suddenly rang out in the air. Impudent! I, Jiang Feng, invited Miss Ouyang Euro to my palace for a chat, but the Ouyang aristocrat clan actually rejected me, injuring the subordinates of my master? Are you slapping my Jiang Feng's face? This voice was incomparably tyrannical, penetrating through the air, landing on the Ouyang aristocrat clan. The faces of the experts from the Ouyang aristocrat clan instantly turned pale, extremely unsightly to behold. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows, cursing in his heart. That old fellow actually hasn't activated the heavenly ceiling formation yet? Haha, Blazing Fiend Immortal King, your subordinates were actually beaten up by someone? An immortal king in the royal capital of Grand Xia spoke. Humph. The Blazing Fiend Immortal King snorted coldly. He then spoke. In the world of ants, there's actually someone who dares to injure my subordinates. How audacious! Since this is the case, go and capture the experts from the Ouyang aristocrat clan. As the sound of his voice faded, the expressions of the experts from the Ouyang aristocrat clan turned ashen. They seemed to have offended a supreme character from the immortal realms. Haha, blazing fiend immortal king, don't you like beauties? My small Chu country has many beauties as well. There are even a few princesses in my royal palace. How about this lord gift them all to you? Another voice rang out. This person was actually from the faraway Chu country. The two of you are immortal kings, how boring. Someone spoke. The treasures have yet to appear. We should at least find some entertainment. Since the treasures only appear for a short period of time, why don't we sweep through Grand Xia and raze it to the ground? I don't believe we won't be able to find the treasures. Someone roared, incomparably domineering, causing the hearts of everyone in Grand Xia to tremble. That's a good idea. The blazing fiend immortal king spoke. Master, please calm your anger. The treasures will appear sooner or later. Why must you vent your anger on the entire Grand Xia? It's enough to deal with the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Jiang Feng persuaded, his words causing the people of Grand Xia to feel extremely grateful. Fine. Go and bring everyone from the Ouyang aristocrat clan here. The blazing fiend immortal king's voice was like ice. Yes, master. Jiang Feng nodded. The commotion caused by the crisis in Grand Xia was quelled. The people of Grand Xia were all sighing in admiration at Jiang Feng. As expected of the #1 genius of this particle world, saving Grand Xia. This Ouyang aristocrat clan truly didn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. It was just a woman, yet they almost angered an immortal king, causing countless lives to be plunged into misery and suffering. Jiang Feng soon arrived at the Ouyang aristocrat clan, causing the hearts of those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan to tremble. Ouyang Xiaolu stared at Qin Wentian. This matter has nothing to do with Senior. Senior, you can leave on your own. No need, I will go with you all. Qin Wentian spoke. He still couldn't act against the blazing fiend immortal king now. If not, his sealed cultivation base would be exposed and Eastern Sage would be suspicious. Chapter 1401. Jiang Feng coldly glanced at Qin Wentian as he spoke. Members of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, follow me. Ouyang Yuro's countenance paled. She spoke. Jiang Feng, I'll go with you. Can you let my clan members go? Impossible. You've injured my master's subordinates. This is simply disgraceful and heinous. Now surrender yourselves and follow me. I don't want to attack. Jiang Feng tyrannically spoke. Those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan were speechless. There were even some who started sobbing. However, those were females with weaker cultivation bases. Since this is the case, let us follow Senior Jiang Feng for a trip. Senior Immortal King is a lofty character in the immortal realms. I believe he wouldn't make things difficult for a small clan like us from the lower realms. At this moment, Ouyang Xiaolu appeared to be somewhat calm and heroic. She did not blame Qin Wentian for injuring the other party's people. Since the other party wanted to take her daughter away, even without Qin Wentian, she would have stopped them. These supreme existences from the immortal realms looked down on them. In that case, this was also the fate of their Ouyang aristocrat clan. Let's go. Jiang Feng turned and walked away in a carefree manner. Those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan followed behind him, surrounded by experts. Along the way, countless people stared at Jiang Feng, the #1 genius under the heavens, becoming a disciple of a supreme existence in the immortal realms. How glorious was that? Jiang Feng is actually so young and handsome. As expected of the #1 person in the world. Some girls were infatuated with him. Some of the older generation felt indignant, but they didn't dare to say anything. Now that Jiang Feng and his master were here, no one dared to say anything bad about Jiang Feng. He was the symbol of the world. At the entrance of the palace, the people from the Ouyang aristocrat clan were brought over. Qin Wentian was brought here as well. A cold voice drifted out from within the palace. A mere ant-like immortal dares to be so impudent as to injure my people? You really don't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. Cripple your own cultivation base. Also that little doll over there, from now on, she shall be my maid. If you serve her well, I might show mercy. Ouyang Yuro's beautiful eyes were slightly moist. It was as if she had foreseen her own fate, and was unable to resist it. Senior is a major character of the immortal realms. Why must you make things difficult for minor characters like us? My beloved daughter has always been pampered, and doesn't know how to serve others. I'm afraid that she won't be able to serve Senior well. Ouyang Xiaolu bowed as she spoke. Her words could also be considered as a form of rejection. The countenances of those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan all changed. Was the clan lord seeking his own destruction? Are you sure she can't serve people well? The voice of the blazing fiend immortal king rang out once more. Haha, Chisha, you really don't have any prestige at all. From afar, a voice drifted over. A lofty immortal king, capable of killing millions with a single anger, causing rivers of blood to flow in this particle world. But now, you can't even tame a woman? I'm not like this in the royal palace of Chu. How ridiculous. The person who spoke was currently seated on the throne in the royal palace of Chu. There were many beauties serving him, including princesses. This particle world was too boring, he could only enjoy himself. The two of you are truly boring. We came here to search for treasures, not to have fun in the lower world. As immortal kings, you should have some bearing as well. An immortal king calmly spoke, feeling disdain for the actions of the two of them. You are right. However, this place is truly too boring. We have to have something to do. An immortal king from Chu replied. The three immortal kings chatted. Their voices could be heard by everyone in Grand Xia. Such power was simply akin to gods in the eyes of the people of this particle world. Ouyang Yuro, you truly don't know what's good for you. Such an opportunity has been given to you. Yet you don't cherish it and serve senior immortal kings? The people of the Ouyang aristocrat clan are simply ridiculous. Could it be that you think that uncle of yours would have the slightest bit of resistance before immortal kings? Let alone that fellow surname Qin. He is a character from many years ago. He is already a thing of the past. And Linglong walked out and spoke. She leaned against Jiang Feng. Although Jiang Feng was unhappy in his heart, he still pretended to be intimate with Linglong for the sake of his master. Jiang Feng is the #1 expert of this particle world. His master is a supreme existence in the immortal realms. You guys should kneel and kowtow to him, accepting the grace of a senior. Everyone stared at Linglong and Jiang Feng, feeling that they were truly a match made in heaven. The woman was beautiful, the man was unparalleled under the heavens. For those who cultivated for more than 100 years, they all thought back to that young man who exuded magnificence throughout the generations. Back then, for the sake of saving the similarly famous beauty Lin Xian, he waged a war against the Star River Association, and even caused supreme existences from the immortal realms to descend. The situation back then was somewhat similar to what they were seeing now. For those who had personally witnessed that battle, they still stubbornly believed that Qin Wentian was more outstanding compared to Jiang Feng. The Lin Xian of those years ago was also far from what Linglong could compare to. Back then, Qin Wentian was simply a legend. It was just that he had left for so many years and many of the younger generations had already forgotten about him. Jiang Feng's cultivation time was even longer compared to Qin Wentian. Back then, when Qin Wentian's name shook the world, Jiang Feng was still inconspicuous and only obtained good fortune after that. If Senior insists on doing this, our Ouyang clan has no way to resist. We are willing to accept Senior's punishment. Ouyang Xiaolu knelt on the ground. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he spoke. Get up. Ouyang Xiaolu turned her head and stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian then spoke. A lofty immortal king bullying someone from a particle world. Don't you feel that this is an insult to the prestige of an immortal king? As for Jiang Feng, the #1 expert of a particle world, he's just a lackey. Rumble. Jiang Feng's aura erupted forth. His countenance was like lightning as he coldly stared at Qin Wentian. Interesting. Haha, blazing fiend immortal king, this is truly interesting. An immortal king from Chu laughed uproariously. The might of the blazing fiend immortal king gushed forth. With a step he appeared before the crowd, exuding an incomparably imposing aura, like a heavenly god. Kneel down. The blazing fiend Immortal King glanced at Qin Wentian. Senior, this matter has nothing to do with you. Ouyang Xiaolu didn't get up. She was still kneeling there as she spoke to Qin Wentian. Senior Blazing Fiend, you are too much. I really can't bear to watch this any longer. Although Senior Blazing Fiend is an immortal king, there are many immortal kings in the immortal realms. It's not impossible for them to die here. Not long ago, an immortal war broke out in the immortal realms and countless experts died. I came to this particle world to roam around, but the major powers in the immortal realms aren't ordinary. If Senior really wants to kill me, you will be able to see my immortal sense. Qin Wentian arrogantly spoke. At this moment, he once again sensed the tyrannical immortal senses of the Blazing Fiend Immortal King. Not only were there immortal senses from the Blazing Fiend Immortal King, there was also another powerful immortal sense from outside this particle world. That old fellow, why hasn't he sealed me yet? Qin Wentian cursed in his heart. Since this was the case, he might as well expose himself. He didn't believe that the old fellow wouldn't save him. Threatening me? The eyes of the Blazing Fiend Immortal King were cold to the extreme. He stretched out his palm and a moment later, a formless energy lifted Ouyang Xiaolu up. He laughed. Since you said you came from a major power, I won't kill you. I can slowly torture these people. This woman is quite pretty as well. Is there anyone who likes her? This seat will bestow her to them. Don't force me. Qin Wentian's voice was ice cold. Is that so? What can you do to me? The Blazing Fiend Immortal King spoke. The aura radiating from Qin Wentian was about to explode out. At this instant, a supreme aura descended from the sky. The Blazing Fiend Immortal King frowned as he stared at the sky. Within his immortal sense, a screen of light was about to merge together with the protective barrier of this particle world. Resplendent runic runes lit up there and rapidly expanded outwards, enveloping the entire particle world. What's going on? The Blazing Fiend Immortal King was bewildered. This seemed to be the aura of a sealing formation. Could it be that Senior Immortal Emperor wanted to temporarily seal this world? Qin Wentian inclined his head. Everything was completed in a short period of time. When the seal was activated, the formation enveloped the entire world. Seems like that old fellow still kept his promise, and was indeed doing this. Outside the particle world, in the void, the old man clapped his hands. Brat, I can only help you to this point. And at this moment, a figure walked over. It was an immortal emperor. Sir, who are you? The Dongxing Heaven Emperor stared at the old man, his eyes gleaming with sharpness. This person actually managed to silently construct a grand sealing formation right under his nose. Does who I am have anything to do with you? The old man coldly spoke, his words causing the expression of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor to stiffen. I've already sealed this particle world. No one is allowed to enter or exit. No matter what you wanted to do earlier, there's no need to continue. Scram. The old man coldly spoke. An instant later, the expression of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor turned extremely unsightly as a violent aura erupted forth. What? You want to fight? The old man similarly radiated a fearsome might as he lunged towards Eastern Sage. I'll give you 10 seconds. If you don't scram, this old man won't be polite anymore. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor's expression was extremely unsightly. When he felt the might of the old man, his heart trembled. After that, he roared in rage and stepped out. The sound of his roar reverberated through the void before gradually fading away. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor's heart was filled with boundless rage. He wanted to act against this particle world, but now, this particle world was actually sealed by someone. He couldn't see the situation inside, and was once again chased away like a stray dog. Such rage almost caused Eastern Sage to go crazy. In the particle world, Qin Wentian's immortal sense could sense that the entire particle world was sealed. Eastern Sage wasn't around. He instantly stepped out and appeared before Ouyang Xiaolu. His powerful aura directly severed the pressure the Blazing Fiend Immortal King was exerting on her. Xiaolu, are you alright? Impudent. Jiang Feng coldly roared when he saw the scene. Ouyang Xiaolu stared at Qin Wentian in bewilderment. The way he addressed her seemed a little intimate. I've wronged you, Xiaolu. The mysterious aura radiating from Qin Wentian gradually dissipated, revealing a handsome face. This caused Ouyang Xiaolu's mouth to open wide as an expression of extreme shock appeared on her face. Big brother Wentian. It's me. Qin Wentian smiled. The people in the surroundings were all extremely shocked when they heard the way he addressed Qin Wentian. Those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan were the most shocked. Big brother Wentian, was this man Qin Wentian? Uncle Qin? Ouyang Yuro's beautiful eyes flashed with a strange light. This extraordinarily handsome young man was actually Uncle Qin? It's Qin Wentian. Oh my god, he is actually Qin Wentian. Many people exclaimed in shock. This was especially so for those who had witnessed the battle back then. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Qin Wentian had actually returned. Qin Wentian has returned. He was once a legendary character, an unparalleled character. At that time, I wonder where Jiang Feng was cultivating. Someone spoke in a low voice. Jiang Feng's expression turned ashen. He also saw Qin Wentian as he spoke in rage. So what if you are Qin Wentian? You even dare to be so impudent before my master? Courting death. Qin Wentian glanced at Jiang Feng in disdain. That gaze caused Jiang Feng to feel indifference, contempt and disdain. His expression grew even more unsightly. After that, he only saw Qin Wentian turning his gaze onto the blazing fiend Immortal King as he spoke. Did that old dog Eastern Sage send you here? Kneel. Kneel. Jiang Feng's expression stiffened. Qin Wentian wanted the blazing fiend Immortal King to kneel? Has he gone mad? The people in the surroundings were in an uproar as their hearts pounded. Why did Qin Wentian suddenly become so domineering? Everyone from the immortal realms, listen up. Right now, come here immediately. Those who disobey will be killed. Qin Wentian inclined his head and roared. His voice was transmitted along with his immortal sense, ringing through the air. Chapter 1402. The hearts of countless people trembled. This was simply too powerful. Was this the legendary character of their particle world? An immortal legend? When he returned, he was even more powerful than before. He could even kill immortal kings. Seeing that you are just a lackey, I won't kill you. Just cripple your own cultivation base. Qin Wentian glanced at Jiang Feng. More and more immortals gathered. All of them bowed to Qin Wentian, as though they were worshipping a supreme king. Qin Wentian didn't say anything, they simply waited there quietly. In front of people from particle worlds, they were supreme existences. But in front of Qin Wentian, immortal foundation experts were the same as the people from particle worlds. They were no different from ants. Let alone the fact that Qin Wentian directly killed an immortal king earlier. Jiang Feng's master couldn't even withstand a single strike from Qin Wentian. What did Jiang Feng have to be mentioned in the same breath as Qin Wentian? They basically weren't people from the same world. Too arrogant. Everyone stared in shock at Qin Wentian. This was the legendary character of their particle world, Qin Wentian. He was the same as before, incomparably domineering and tyrannical after his return. Uncle Qin, what should we do with that so-called number one expert under the heavens? Ouyang Yu pointed to Jiang Feng. This person personally came to their Ouyang aristocrat clan to capture them. If it wasn't for Qin Wentian, the consequences would have been unimaginable. I didn't expect this place to be young Master Qin's world. I hope young Master Qin won't take offense. The people of the Ouyang aristocrat clan all perspired when they saw this scene. However, they didn't feel that this was strange. In fact, this was only natural. Qin Wentian was extremely good friends with Ouyang Xiaolu's elder brother, Ouyang Quangxing, back in their particle world. Back then, Ouyang Xiaolu was already acquainted with Qin Wentian. Given Qin Wentian's current status, the fact that he was still so close to Ouyang Xiaolu naturally made the Ouyang aristocrat clan very happy. Qin Wentian didn't even glance at him. His law energy instantly blasted into Jiang Feng. Jiang Feng's body trembled violently in the air as his expression turned ashen. After that, his eyes turned sluggish as he fell from the air. The law energy that gushed into his body wanted to destroy all his vitality. The people of this particle world could truly feel Qin Wentian's might. It was already something they couldn't imagine. And now, even Jiang Feng had died. She actually didn't feel sorrow at all. She only felt that she was pitiful. From today onwards, for everyone who came to this particle world, I will seal your cultivation bases. You guys can teach the people of this world, becoming their master and guiding them in cultivation. When the time is right, I will remove the seal on you guys and release you all. Qin Wentian's voice rang out through the world together with his immortal sense. Countless people trembled violently as shock filled the hearts of everyone. All of them were filled with gratitude towards Qin Wentian. This was the true ruler of their particle world. He wanted to seal these invaders here and make them guide them in cultivation. How could he do this? Insta-killing the blazing fiend immortal king. Qin Wentian, although you were very strong back then, my master is now an immortal king character. How dare you be so rude? Jiang Feng coldly spoke. Although he didn't know exactly how strong an immortal king was, it was definitely not something he could touch. He could only stare in admiration. Even Qin Wentian wasn't able to reach that level. The blazing fiend immortal king had an ugly expression on his face. He stared at Qin Wentian and spoke. Although you are very famous in the immortal realms, you also said that this particle world is sealed. What qualifications do you have to make me kneel? Although he had heard of the immortal war in the eastern regions, because he wasn't someone from the 13 prefectures, he didn't understand the details of the war. He also didn't know how strong Qin Wentian himself was. Boom! Jiang Feng's body slammed into the ground. The so-called #1 expert under the heavens, Qin Wentian couldn't even be bothered to glance at him. This was the disparity between them. A raging wind gusted by as an immortal king quickly rushed over. Before this, he didn't really care, but upon seeing the death of the blazing fiend immortal king, this immortal king from Chu immediately rushed over with his fastest speed. In the blink of an eye, he stabilized his body and bowed to Qin Wentian. I pay my respects to young Lord Qin. I naturally believe Uncle Qin's words. Earlier, that woman said that Jiang Feng is the #1 expert in this particle world. Unparalleled in the past and future. How shameless. Jiang Feng is even older than Uncle Qin, yet he still dares to say that he is unparalleled. The young man pointed to An Linglong who was beside Jiang Feng as he spoke. Jiang Feng recognized Qin Wentian. In truth, back then when Jiang Feng saw Qin Wentian's legend, he was incomparably envious until he obtained good fortune and grew to an unfathomable level. His self-confidence swelled, and he was known as the #1 expert in the world. He had once compared himself to Qin Wentian, but he discovered that he couldn't be compared to Qin Wentian at all. Uncle Qin, tell him now that in front of you, he Jiang Feng can't be considered the #1 expert in this particle world. Bullshit, he's just a lackey. The young man spoke in rage. Before this, Jiang Feng acted as a lackey for the blazing fiend immortal king to capture the experts of the Ouyang aristocrat clan. There's an extremely powerful person who wants to deal with me and has been spying on this particle world. But now, this particle world has already been sealed and he has no way to enter. Uncle Qin, you don't have to worry anymore. In this particle world, no one would dare to touch you guys anymore. Qin Wentian spoke. Don't know the immensity of death. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, his immortal king aura gushed forth violently, causing the countenance of the blazing fiend immortal king to turn pale. He stared at Qin Wentian with fear in his eyes. How can this be? How did you reach such a level so quickly? Big brother Qin, stop teasing me. Ouyang Xiaolu pouted. Qin Wentian's voice was domineering and tyrannical, completely changing his attitude earlier. He wanted everyone in this particle world to gather before him. Now that he has returned, he actually dared to be so arrogant, not placing anyone in his eyes, not even his master, the blazing fiend immortal king. I have to find a reason. Qin Wentian laughed. Euro is beautiful and has inherited the good points of that last Xiaolu. Even if I say this, you guys wouldn't doubt my words. Huh. Uncle Qin is so young, calling me Uncle Qin would make me sound old. Uncle Qin sounds more intimate. The young man exuded a simple and honest aura. Ouyang Euro also smiled. Yeah, it's more comfortable to call me Uncle Qin. No wonder Uncle Qin has been helping me all this while. So it turns out that you weren't just passing by the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Jiang Feng turned pale. He was known as the #1 expert in this particle world. His glory was unparalleled, and he was even accepted as a personal disciple by an immortal king. But now all this glory was going to be destroyed in a single day? Qin Wentian glanced at the young man and smiled. Little fellow, you should address me as Uncle Qin instead. Comparing Qin Wentian to Jiang Feng was simply an insult to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian seemed to have no idea about the people around him. He walked towards Ouyang Xiaolu and rubbed her head as he smiled. The little lass from back then is now the clan leader of an aristocrat clan. Ah! And Linglong's countenance was somewhat pale. She stared at Qin Wentian. This man's fame was simply too great. Even after so many years, his legend still circulated around the particle world. Although she was in love with Jiang Feng and had always viewed him as the #1 expert, when Qin Wentian appeared before her, she no longer had the confidence to do so, let alone the fact that she had been through so much during these days. I've given you a chance. Since you want to court death, I can only grant you your wish. Qin Wentian punched out as a tyrannical fist light swept over. With a thunderous boom, an incomparably powerful immortal king instantly died, killed by Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian glanced at Jiang Feng with disdain. He then turned to the blazing fiend immortal king. I told you to kneel. Did you not hear me? He was unwilling to accept this. The sealing energy was too tyrannical. It was actually able to seal his life force. Qin Wentian was more famous in the immortal realms as the son-in-law of the evergreen immortal emperor. Those who disobeyed would be killed. Uncle Qin, you are truly crafty. You even said that you have fallen in love with elder sister. Ouyang Yu laughed. Uncle Qin, please don't laugh at me anymore. Ouyang Yuro spoke in a light voice. Jiang Feng's expression turned malevolent. His silhouette flickered as he lunged towards Ouyang Xiaolu with extreme speed. At the same time, his immortal might gushed forth. He wasn't willing to give up everything. What was the point of becoming a cripple? Boom! A powerful sealing law domain instantly erupted forth, engulfing everything. A supreme sealing energy bore down on the blazing fiend immortal king. The countenance of the blazing fiend immortal king drastically changed. His silhouette soared up into the air, wanting to flee. However, Qin Wentian merely glanced at the air as his sealing law domain transformed into a sealing art that continuously entered the body of the blazing fiend immortal king. The blazing fiend immortal king's countenance turned pale. The energy in his body actually couldn't circulate smoothly. Those who had once witnessed Qin Wentian's glory all had looks of excitement on their faces. This fellow has returned. He wants all the outsiders in the immortal realms to obey his commands. He wants immortal kings to kneel before him. The law domain dissipated. Qin Wentian descended from the air, causing countless people to be stunned. Even Jiang Feng was trembling. I'm not teasing you. That child has already grown so big. Time really flies. Qin Wentian walked towards Ouyang Yuro, and the young man Ouyang Yu. Ouyang Yu had a silly smile on his face as he stared at Qin Wentian. Ouyang Yuro's beautiful eyes gleamed with curiosity. Even those young men who felt that Jiang Feng was powerful felt incomparably ashamed. Ouyang Xiaolu, Ouyang Yuro and the others all had sweet smiles on their faces. These fellows were all so arrogant. Now they were all forced to stay in this particle world to guide the people here in cultivation? Serves them right. Little you, don't bother with her. She's also very pitiful. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. When Linglong heard Qin Wentian's words, her heart instantly crumbled as tears flowed down her face. She once had the extravagant hope of becoming an immortal couple with Jiang Feng. But after following Jiang Feng, just a single sentence from the blazing fiend immortal king caused Jiang Feng to offer her up to him. Jiang Feng didn't dare to say anything. She didn't dare to as well. Qin Wentian coldly glanced at him and didn't bother with him. He continued standing in the air. The sound of wind whistling rang out as several immortal kings appeared. All of them bowed to Qin Wentian. Uncle Qin. The young man from the Ouyang clan called out in agitation. Was this the Uncle Qin his uncle and mother mentioned? How awe-inspiring, this was his idol. This was also the first time he saw Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian was truly awe-inspiring. The so-called number one character of this generation in this particle world didn't even have the qualifications to be compared to the legendary character Qin Wentian. This time around, there's a rumor that there are treasures in this particle world. That's why we came here. We didn't know that we had disturbed young Lord Qin. Truly, we deserve to die. The Immortal Kings all apologized respectfully. After that, many Immortal Foundation experts rushed over. They rushed over in a hurry. They didn't have the bearing of immortals at all. The entire particle world has been sealed. Where can you escape to? With me here, how can you escape? Qin Wentian tyrannically spoke. He stepped out and instantly appeared before the Blazing Fiend Immortal King. His fingers stabbed out, landing on the Blazing Fiend Immortal King's body. In just an instant, the life force of the Blazing Fiend Immortal King was sealed. He stared in shock at Qin Wentian. Young Lord Qin, please spare my life. Jiangfeng, the number one character in this particle world? Unparalleled in the past and unparalleled in the future? This is what you meant by unparalleled in the past. Ouyang, you stared at Linglong. Haha, you even know how to be shy. Qin Wentian laughed. Chapter 1403. After Qin Wentian sealed the particle world, he naturally didn't wish for these people to leave. In that case, the people of the immortal realms wouldn't know of what happened here. The Dongxing Heaven Emperor wouldn't know as well. Although even if they knew what happened here, they might not be able to guess that Eastern Sage had an avatar. However, Qin Wentian's actions were steady and he wouldn't take the risk. Eastern Sage could guess on his own. As for these people, many of them did whatever they wanted in this particle world. Keeping them here was also a form of punishment for them. As for those innocent people who were attracted by the rumors, Qin Wentian didn't intend to trap them here for eternity. When he was strong enough and the time was right, or when Eastern Sage died, nobody would care about what happened in this particle world anymore. At that time, it wouldn't be too late to release them. Naturally, for some people, such a punishment was still far from enough. Qin Wentian turned his gaze to that immortal king who did whatever he wanted in Chu earlier as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Young Lord Qin, please forgive me. That immortal king bowed. Qin Wentian radiated a tyrannical aura. Are you willing to accept the punishment? Qin Wentian coldly asked. I'm willing. That immortal king nodded. The Blazing Fiend Immortal King had died before him. How would he dare to reject Qin Wentian? However, I guess that you might be someone sent by the Eastern Sage sect. In addition to the things you have done, I really want to kill you. What do you think I should do? Qin Wentian icily spoke. Young Lord Qin, I'm definitely not someone sent by the Eastern Sage sect. As for everything I've done, I'm willing to forgive myself. I hope that young Lord Qin can spare me. That immortal king turned pale. He was worried that Qin Wentian would really kill him in a fit of anger. Kneel down and kowtow in the direction of Chu. Qin Wentian coldly spoke, telling an immortal king to kneel down and kowtow in remorse. That immortal king turned pale. This was simply a loss of all his dignity. He was an immortal king, a lofty existence. How difficult was it to make him kowtow in remorse? However, in the face of his life, he could still discard his dignity. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed in the direction of Chu. The hearts of everyone in the surroundings trembled as they stared at Qin Wentian with a fanatical gaze. This was the true guardian of their particle world. Before this, the so-called top-ranker Jiang Feng acted like a lackey for the Blazing Fiend Immortal King. Some people still felt that it was because the Ouyang aristocrat clan didn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. But now when they saw Qin Wentian, they only felt ashamed. The young man before him was the symbol of this world. Everything he did was for the sake of his homeland. Fine, I'll forgive you. After I seal your cultivation base, you can stay in Chu and teach the people of Chu how to cultivate. For those who are willing to be your tutelage, don't reject them. If not, kill them. Qin Wentian emotionlessly spoke. That immortal king's face turned ashen. From a lofty immortal king who could do whatever he wanted, to a slave of Chu, he even needed to teach them how to cultivate. Many people felt agitated and even wanted to go to Chu. Such a powerful character actually had his cultivation base sealed, and had to teach the people of Chu. This was truly Uncle Qin's plan is too perfect. It's such a pity to kill these people. Only Uncle Qin can think of something like this. How sinister. Ouyang Yu laughed. Ouyang Yuro, who was beside him, glared at him. How can you say that Uncle Qin is sinister? Fine, I won't say any more. I know Uncle Qin is your idol. Now that you've met your idol, are you very excited? Ouyang Yu mischievously spoke. Back then in the inn, who was fighting against An Ling Long? At that time, Uncle Qin hadn't even revealed his identity. Ouyang Yuro smiled. Ouyang Xiaolu shook her head and bitterly smiled. After that, when she saw Qin Wentian starting to seal the Immortals' cultivation bases, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Who would have thought that the Qin Wentian she knew back then would actually reach an unimaginable height 100 years later? At that time, Qin Wentian had suffered quite a bit in the Ouyang aristocrat clan, and was even humiliated by Ouyang Ting. Luckily, his elder brother Ouyang Guangxing had a very good relationship with Qin Wentian. All of this was like a dream. The people of the particle world all heaved a sigh of relief. There were also many who felt excitement. Very soon, there would be many immortals whose cultivation bases were sealed. Qin Wentian had to teach them how to cultivate. In the future, this world would surely grow stronger. Qin Wentian's method of sealing was naturally different. For those evil immortals, he directly sealed them to death, making them slaves. For those with ordinary cultivation bases, he could even order them to teach them how to cultivate. As for those immortals who didn't cause trouble, Qin Wentian left them with plenty of strength, allowing them to retain their dignity and could choose to accept disciples. As for the sealing of this world, Qin Wentian was still very confident in the abilities of that old fellow. Every time he grew stronger, he would discover that this old fellow was even more powerful than before. His strength was simply unfathomable. In the immortal realms, Dongxing Heaven Emperor naturally left feeling extremely sullen. After his particle world was sealed, he had no idea what happened inside. In fact, he didn't even know who that old fellow was. He only knew that his sharp senses told him that the old fellow was extremely terrifying. However, he had never heard of such a character before. Today, he snuck back again, but he didn't discover that the old man was there. He tried to break the seal only to discover that he couldn't break it. This sealing formation was simply too terrifying. Dong Sage stared at his senior sister. Could it be that in this boundless particle world, there were some extremely terrifying existences hidden there? Dongxing Heaven Emperor couldn't help but to think about those who had reached the pinnacle of cultivation. Where did they go? Where did those ancient emperors go? The ancient emperors they knew were all experts who unified the world. However, there were some who didn't care about power and authority. Could it be that their strength was weak? In this boundless world, there might be some supreme existences hidden in this boundless particle world. Naturally, there might be even more powerful characters who have already left the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms. After I take revenge, I will leave this Azure Mystic Immortal Realms and traverse through the boundless void to see how fascinating the other immortal realms are. Dongxing Heaven Emperor stared at the boundless starry space before glancing at the resplendent immortal realms. If he didn't kill Qin Wentian, if he didn't kill Bai Wuya, if he didn't destroy the immortal Qianbian Gate, he wouldn't be willing to leave. Even if he left, there would be a devil in his heart and his cultivation would be halted at this level. As for the Qin Wentian now, he was currently in closed-door seclusion within the immortal Qianbian Gate, not meeting anyone. During this period of time, it was like he had completely vanished, just like back then when he went to the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Only by doing this would the people of the immortal realms know about the existence of Qin Wentian in this particle world. They wouldn't suspect the existence of the 2DD clones. This was also the reason why Qin Wentian was so cautious. However, as everything in the particle world concluded, the entire world was sealed. His avatar Ditian would continue to stay in the particle world for a period of time. Qin Wentian also set his heart at ease. Back then when he left the particle world, he initially thought that there wouldn't be any more incidents there. But this time around, Eastern Sage was forced into such a miserable state that he started to worry. In truth, his worries had become reality. A lofty immortal emperor, a hegemon of the 13 prefectures back then, actually acted against a mere particle world. Qin Wentian hid in the shadows, wanting Eastern Sage to reveal himself. This Eastern Sage, I'm afraid he would do anything in the future. In the cultivation ground, Qin Wentian sat cross-legged as he silently mused. He had to be wary of Eastern Sage. A crazed immortal emperor was the most terrifying. At this moment, law energy radiated from Qin Wentian. He was currently using law energy to refine his immortal body and immortal bones. After reaching the immortal king realm, his body was already a body of laws. His bones, blood, meridians, and internal organs had all undergone a baptism, and his vitality was incomparably vigorous. Hence, if an immortal king died, their bodies would all be considered treasures. Qin Wentian's immortal sense stared inwardly. His bones radiated immortal light, the runes of law energy contained within them, and his internal organs were all filled to the brim. At this moment, his immortal sense flowed towards his heart. Over there, he could faintly sense an aura that didn't belong to him. He tried to stimulate that aura, and after many attempts, a beam of light flashed as an ethereal figure appeared in the range of Qin Wentian's immortal sense. Uncle Black. Qin Wentian stared at that familiar figure, as boundless reminiscence filled his heart. Uncle Black had an extraordinary meaning to him. He had brought him up since he was young, and was even closer to him compared to his foster father Qin Chuan. You finally found me. I didn't expect it to be so fast. In that case, I'm already satisfied. Uncle Black had a smile on his face. When he sensed how strong Qin Wentian's body was, his countenance was filled with kindness. In the past when you were young, I was too strict to you. In fact, I didn't even smile at you. Wentian, Uncle Black has let you down. Uncle Black, everything is for the sake of encouraging me to grow. From the time I was at my weakest, you wanted me to sever my meridians and cultivate, not allowing me to condense astral souls too early, allowing me to have a better starting point for my cultivation. Everything starts from the beginning. I naturally understand Uncle Black's intentions. Qin Wentian sighed. Uncle Black, before you left, you said that you would come and find me after I broke through to the immortal realm. However, you didn't come and have always been in my body, waiting for me? I thought I would have to wait for a very long time. Uncle Black laughed. The immortal realms are so vast, immortal foundation experts are nothing more than a drop of water in the vast ocean. Where would I go to find you? Also, I don't plan to see you in the immortal realms, and maybe in the future as well. Back then, I was strict to you because you had a mission to fulfill. Although your father once told me that if you are mediocre, you should live an ordinary life and never tell anyone about your origins, I naturally don't wish for you to be ordinary. Although I watched you grow up, I've followed your father for far too many years. My feelings for him are even deeper compared to yours. Qin Wentian didn't feel any unhappiness when he heard Uncle Black's calm voice. On the contrary, he could sense the feelings Uncle Black had for his father. There was only gratitude in his heart. My father, is he dead? Qin Wentian asked. This was a question he had always wanted to know the answer to. In the memory fragments of the tiny astral being, he saw the tragic ending of his father. His bones and flesh were all snatched away, and he was dead for sure. However, after that, his father seemed to still be alive. Qin Wentian wanted to know the truth. Chapter 1404. When Qin Wentian asked this, he was extremely nervous. He stared at Uncle Black as though he wanted to know the answer, but at the same time he was afraid of the other answer. I don't know. Uncle Black replied, his words causing Qin Wentian's gaze to freeze. He didn't know? However, he did die once before. However, your father was a heaven-defying genius. He didn't manage to take his life away. He survived and restarted his life. As for now, I have no idea where he is or if he is still alive. Uncle Black spoke. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. He died once and restarted his life. I once saw in my memories that my father was once surrounded and killed by a powerful clan. Everything of his body was stripped away. Uncle Black, when you said he died once, are you referring to that time? Qin Wentian asked. Yes, seems like you have seen it as well. Uncle Black nodded. If your father gave you his memories, It might contain the memories of his 2 lives. In his first life he was extremely frivolous, unrestrained and unrestrained. He was willing to give up everything and did his best to slaughter his way through the world. But after that he grew tired of everything and wanted to leave. However, there was someone who didn't allow it, and wanted to kill him no matter what. This was the reason why his second life was born. Your father's second life was calm and peaceful. He didn't have the brilliance of the past. He concealed his tracks and cultivated in a particle world until you were born. After that, in order to protect you, he chose to leave. It wasn't that he didn't want to see you grow up, but he wanted to sever all connections with you. In that case, no one would know who you are. You are his son. He wanted to protect you. Uncle Black slowly spoke. Qin Wentian's heart trembled when he heard this. He naturally believed Uncle Black's words. He had once personally witnessed how powerful Qin Yuanfeng's clan was. The palace his father stayed in could even be compared to the royal palaces of the Evergreen Kingdom, majestic and imposing. The experts of that clan were simply unimaginable. Even after he restarted his life, his father was still in danger. Hence, he chose to sever all connections with him. If his father was mediocre, he wouldn't know all of this and would live a peaceful life. However, Uncle Black wasn't willing to accept this. He hoped that his son would be like his father, Qin Yuanfeng, born extraordinary and unrestrained, daring to challenge the world. Even if his father was the king of the clan, Uncle Black wouldn't be able to compete with him. But if he wanted to compete, even if his father was the king of the clan, he would still be able to defeat him. It was just that his father, Qin Yuanfeng, was too unruly. He had no father or mother, there was no one to control him, and he refused to submit to the clan. Not only for you guys, even us old fellows were your father's servants back then. Also, we have changed our appearances and suffered heavy injuries. We can be considered half-cripples and our existences wouldn't attract the attention of others. But even so, we still kept a low profile, silently waiting for you in various corners of the particle world, watching you grow up step by step. Now that you have arrived in the immortal realms, we won't appear again because we similarly have to sever all connections with you. Before you have sufficient strength, you have to remember not to let others know that you are Qin Yuanfeng's son. Uncle Black's words caused Qin Wentian to be speechless. As the son of Qin Yuanfeng, he actually had to hide his identity from the world? Trembling with fear, all of this was because of his enemy. They shouldn't be in this immortal realms, right? Qin Wentian asked. Naturally not. Your father has long left his homeland, and didn't even dare to stay in this immortal realms. In this world, there are some stories about your father, and there might be people who know of his existence. As for your father's clan, they were able to traverse through countless worlds and find this place. Hence, even if your enemy isn't in this immortal realms, you still mustn't let others know of this. Right now, even if the people of the world investigate you, they would only know that you grew up in a particle world, and that you are an orphan. You were raised by the Qin clan in Sky Harmony City of Chu. Hence your surname is Qin. Uncle Black slowly continued. It's just that others might be able to tell that your bloodline power is extraordinary. But if it wasn't for those 2 clans personally witnessing you using it, no one would know of it. In the Azure Mystic Immortal Realms, no one would be able to tell. But after you leave this world, try to use the power bestowed upon you by your bloodline more secretively, or use it sparingly. This is especially so when your cultivation base grows stronger and the power of your bloodline is completely stimulated. The uniqueness of your bloodline would be even more obvious. Now there's nothing much, but you have to remember this. Qin Wentian nodded. Knowing that his father was reborn, his state of heart was much more relaxed. Although he still couldn't ascertain if his father was dead or alive, at the very least, there was a very high chance that he was still alive. Which layer of the 33 heavens does your enemy reside in exactly? What clan does he belong to? Qin Wentian asked. In the strongest layer of the 33 heavens, there's an extremely powerful clan. There's no need for you to know too clearly now. But after you reach that step, there's no need for me to tell you. You will know for yourself. Uncle Black spoke. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. The strongest layer of the 33 heavens? How strong was that place? An extremely powerful clan. He had already seen how terrifying that clan was in his memories. Right now, he himself was also at the immortal king realm, and could see the difference in strength even more clearly. In that battle in his memories, even immortal emperors would be annihilated in an instant. Why does that clan want to deal with my father? Back then in that battle, my father defeated the king of the clan. Why didn't they choose my father? I don't understand. Qin Wentian was filled with intense hatred. Although he didn't personally experience that battle, he personally saw his father being sucked dry by an incomparably powerful supreme treasure. His body was stripped away, and on the other end of that treasure was actually the king of the clan who grew up together with his father. Everything of his father's was stripped away and given to the other party to inherit. Such a cruel punishment was 100 times crueler than death. If there was a day where he could trample over the heavens and earth, he would definitely repay this debt of blood with blood. Everything that his father was stripped away, he wanted that clan to pay for it. This is the greatest secret of your father. Your father was a direct descendant of the clan, and his parents were also major characters of the clan. However, both of them died in battle, and your father became an orphan from a young age. His personality was eccentric, and he didn't like to speak much. The elders of the clan watched over him as he grew up, treating him as the future of the bloodline. Uncle Black stared at Qin Wentian as he continued, "Your father didn't disappoint them. He was sent to a place where the direct descendants of the clan would be nurtured. His talent was outstanding and he had an extraordinary son. At the same time, there were two other extremely outstanding individuals in the clan. One was a young king. The other was a girl that your father was secretly in love with. The three of them were good friends when they were young, but after the two of them got together with you, your father was extremely sad. He sent his blessings and left the clan to roam the world alone. He experienced all sorts of trials and tribulations, narrowly escaping death, tempering himself into a lofty and unyielding character. At the same time, the king of the clan was incomparably glorious, like the sun in the sky. No one in his generation could compare to him, and he was seen as one of the successors to the clan leader in the future. He was heavily nurtured. He was born to be a king, and was incomparably dazzling. However, he knew that there was only one person who could compete with him, and that was your father. However, your father had no interest in the power of the clan, and he completely separated himself from the clan as he grew up. In fact, he rarely returned to the clan. The two of them did not interfere with each other, and the king of the clan continued to grow, gradually becoming the unquestionable leader of his generation. The two of them never interacted with each other again. Until it was rumored that your father obtained a supreme treasure that countless people in the world wanted to obtain. Your father was hunted down from all directions, and when the clan summoned him back, he refused to do so. He and your mother flew off together, roaming the world, living a carefree and unrestrained life. No one could control them, not even the clan. In fact, they even concealed their tracks. Until one day, the king of the clan came to pay a visit to your father, and your father warmly welcomed him. However, the king of the clan came prepared, and actually started a battle with your father. After he was defeated, he left the clan, and it was unknown what he said when he returned to the clan. In his rage, your father rebelled against the powerful clan. Because of this, the elders of the clan were even more enraged. They had never seen such a wanton and unrestrained clan member, and they sent out many experts to hunt him down. However, their attempts were all to no avail, and there were even many people who were injured by your father. In the end, your mother's clan also came, and they brought your mother away. All of this still wasn't over. The clan's pursuit didn't stop until one day, when your father returned to the clan. There were many people in this bloodline who were willing to follow him, wanting to clear your father's name. They invited the king of the clan to fight fair and square. Your father wanted to take back what he had lost, but in that battle, the king of the clan was defeated once again. However, who would have thought that the king of the clan was incomparably despicable? They actually said that the king of the clan was borrowing the power of that supreme treasure. If the supreme treasure was given to the clan, it would create an even stronger king. If it was given to the king of the clan, the king of the clan would be 10 times, 100 times stronger than your father. How could your father be willing to hand it over? Naturally, another heaven-shaking battle ensued. Upon seeing the elders who followed him being injured or even killed, your father was completely enraged and started a massacre. By doing so, the old fellows in the clan who were in control of the clan were completely enraged. They stepped out and joined forces to deal with your father, seizing your father's life. After that, they bestowed everything your father had to the king of the clan. Although we haven't seen each other for many years, one can already imagine that the king of the clan must have already reached an inconceivable level. No one would be able to affect his status, and no one would be able to contend against him. Uncle Black's voice was filled with boundless rage. Qin Wentian's eyes were also blazing with the flames of hatred. All of this was taken away from his father. All of this, they had to repay this debt of blood with blood. That so-called king of the clan, was he already so glorious that he could look down on everything under the heavens? Qin Wentian's fists were clenched so tightly that his veins were popping out. The law energy in his body was frenziedly circulating. Although he had personally witnessed the fragmented memories of his father, and could guess some things, when he truly heard Uncle Black narrating this part of history, he was still incomparably enraged. His hatred towered up into the sky. Chapter 1405. 33 Heavenly Layers, the strongest layer of heavenly layers. Qin Wentian's heart was filled with rage. From one of the memories, his father and mother bestowed everything to him. He could feel the emotions of kinship, and from then on, he understood that it wasn't that his birth parents had abandoned him. It was just that because they loved him too much, they would rather separate from him and sever all connections with him than to let others know of his existence. Even if one day his father was hunted down in his second life, no one would know that he was Qin Wentian. What about my mother? Is she still doing well? Qin Wentian asked. I have no idea as well. After your mother was captured, your father returned to the clan for a battle. I believe that he had already predicted the ending of that battle. Although he died once, he didn't die in the end and chose to cultivate anew. You should be able to guess where your father cultivated in his second life. Uncle Black spoke. The particle world I'm in? Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Yes, that's the starting point of your father's second life. He is the same as you growing up there. There are also some half-crippled old fellows like us who grew up there. It has been a very long time since then. Uncle Black laughed. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. After that he smiled. So it turns out that not only did I grow up in that particle world, my father's footprints were there as well. I've seen the Qin Heavenly Divine sect before. Most probably, it was established by my father when he was cultivating in that particle world, right? As your father's cultivation grew stronger, it was naturally impossible for him to stay in that particle world forever. He went out to roam the world and should be the same as you, coming to this azure mystic immortal realms, and leaving behind his footprints. After that, your mother found your father. Although many years have passed, their feelings for each other didn't change at all. They gave birth to you and gave everything they had to you. Uncle Black smiled. There were actually traces of tears at the corners of his eyes. Qin Wentian thought back to the first time he saw the memories of his birth. At that time, his parents seemed to have given him the most precious thing they had, and after that, they brought him to this particle world. After you were born, your parents told me to bring you away. He also went to see you, but he still severed all ties with you, never letting others know of your existence even if he was hunted down one day. As for you, you were the same as your father, going to the place where your father grew up in his second life. There, your father's footprints could be seen. Some of us crippled old fellows also hoped that you would be able to rise up from there, walking on a path of glory and fighting against the various heavenly planes. Uncle Black's eyes flashed with anticipation. Uncle Black, I will. Qin Wentian spoke in a light voice, yet his eyes were filled with determination. I also believe that you will. Once, in this particle world, no matter what danger you encountered, we would pretend that we didn't know anything, pretending that we didn't see it. We don't wish for you to have any external help, because if you want to reach your father's level, you can only depend on yourself. But Uncle Black, you guys still won't be able to watch me die. Back then in the Pill Emperor Hall, when I was at the end of my rope, didn't you guys appear? Qin Wentian smiled. Uncle Black smiled, but he didn't say anything. You already have your current cultivation base. In the future, us crippled old fellows will have no way to help you. You have to walk your path well. Remember, you have to head to the strongest heavenly plane. Over there, the might of the heavenly planes is unimaginably strong. This Azure Mystic Immortal Realms is the outermost world of the 33 heavenly planes. Hence, your father chose this place because this place is the furthest away from your enemies. Uncle Black, you guys have to take good care of yourselves. Qin Wentian smiled. The strongest of the 33 heavenly planes? He would definitely head there. Uncle Black said that when he reached that step, he would naturally understand who his enemies were. From this, one could very well imagine what sort of height his enemies, his father's clan, stood at. Don't worry, us old fellows still have to stand in a certain corner of the world and watch you stand at the peak. You have to tell those people that they were wrong back then, and they have to pay the price for their mistakes. Uncle Black seriously spoke. He had watched Qin Wentian grow up since he was young. No matter who it was, cultivation had to start from the basics. No one would be able to skip this rule. He helped Qin Wentian build a good foundation. As for everything in the future, Qin Wentian would have to depend on himself. Uncle Black's expectations of Qin Wentian were too high. If his expectations weren't high enough, it wouldn't be enough for him to take revenge. I will definitely make them pay for this debt. Qin Wentian's voice was ice cold. I'm leaving. Walk your path well in the future. If your parents are still alive, they would definitely be waiting for you in a certain corner of the world. They will wait for the day when you stand at the peak, fighting against immortals and devils. Uncle Black smiled as he stared at Qin Wentian. After that, his silhouette gradually turned illusory before vanishing completely, as though he had never appeared before. Qin Wentian opened his eyes as sharpness gleamed within. His fists were still tightly clenched as he inclined his head and stared at the sky. The 33 heavenly planes, the highest layer of heavenly planes in the immortal realms? An incomparably powerful ancient family? An ancient race. He would eventually reach that step and stand in front of them. After that, Qin Wentian closed his eyes again as his will started to corrode the tiny astral being. An incomparably vast amount of astral energy gushed into it. He wanted to pry into all the scattered memories. He opened up the countless fragments of memories as more and more scenes of the memories flowed into his mind. Back then when Qin Wentian opened up the core memories and knew that his father was killed by an ancient clan, he didn't look at these memories because he felt that it was already enough. But now he wanted to see even more. When these fragments of memories appeared in his mind, Qin Wentian experienced even more of his father's growth. He gradually understood the difference between his father's first and second life. In his first life, his father was unrestrained and unrestrained, extremely frivolous. In his second life, his father was mature and introverted, keeping a low profile. Although the memories he had after he was born were only the memories he saw when he was very young, Qin Wentian could still vaguely feel the feelings his parents had for him. He also knew that after he followed Uncle Black to this particle world, his father must have secretly visited him. Rumble. Qin Wentian abruptly clenched his fists. Right now, there were still some astral crystals left in the core of the tiny astral being that he couldn't open up. His aura surged before it gradually dissipated. Drawing in a deep breath, he stepped out and entered the bedroom. Wentian, what's wrong? Qingqing saw the sadness in Qin Wentian's eyes. She couldn't help but to walk forward. Her gentle and beautiful eyes seemed to be able to melt the hearts of men. Qingqing. Qin Wentian took a step forward and embraced Qingqing in his arms. Qingqing's body trembled as intense waves rocked her heart. Although this was an insignificant action, she had been with Qin Wentian since they were young. They had experienced too much together, and she had also seen Qin Wentian experience too much. Even when the Pill Emperor Hall was in despair, his eyes were still as resolute as ever. She was very clear on what sort of person Qin Wentian was. But right now he was actually feeling so sad. When she thought of this, Mo Qingqing's heart felt like it was about to melt. She quietly embraced Qin Wentian, allowing him to feel her warmth. "Everything will be fine. I will always be by your side," Mo Qingqing softly spoke. Her head rested on Qin Wentian's shoulder as a radiant smile could be seen on her face. But in this smile, there was also a trace of sadness in her heart. She knew that the pressure on Qin Wentian was too great. Everyone's pressure was on him. The greater the strength, the greater the responsibility. He protected everyone around him, and when he faced powerful opponents, he slashed his way through all obstacles, akin to a man of steel. However, humans would eventually grow tired. She felt some heartache, hating herself for being useless, unable to share his burdens. "Qingqing, thank you." Qin Wentian felt the warmth from Mo Qingqing's tender body as he felt extremely moved in his heart. Qingqing had no regrets, following him. They were separated more often than not, but she had no complaints at all. She would often gaze at him, longing for him. "Dumbo." Mo Qingqing smiled mischievously. Qin Wentian's heart trembled, but he soon smiled as well. After he learned of what happened to his parents, his rage towered up into the sky. However, he also felt the pressure of responsibility. Even if he was at the ancient emperor level, he would still be far from being able to look at him. In front of that gigantic existence, there was basically nothing he could do. At this moment, Qin Wentian's countenance changed as a sharp glint of light flickered in his eyes. "Qingqing, little rascal seems to have something to do." The two of them separated. Qin Wentian spoke to Mo Qingqing. "Did something happen?" Mo Qingqing asked. "I'm not sure about the specifics, but it seems to be very anxious. There's impatience and agitation. I have no idea what happened." Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. As his cultivation base grew stronger, the connection between him and Little Rascal also grew stronger. At this moment, Little Rascal, who was tempering himself in the desolate 10,000 mountain range, actually sent a signal to him. "What should we do then? Do you want to go?" Mo Qingqing asked. "I'm prepared to go and take a look. I'm worried that Little Rascal might encounter danger." Qin Wentian spoke. Although he brought Little Rascal and Purgatory to the desolate 10,000 mountain range for tempering, if there really was danger, how could Qin Wentian bear to do so? Mo Qingqing nodded lightly. She smiled. "Go ahead, I will wait for you." "Okay, I will go and ask the monarch first." Qin Wentian spoke. He then departed, moving towards the Emperor Palace of Qianbian. "Wentian, come to my place." Before Qin Wentian arrived at the Emperor Palace of Qianbian, a voice rang out in his ears. He changed his direction and soon arrived at Bai Wuya's palace. "Senior brother." Qin Wentian walked in and called out. "There's a beast tied in the desolate 10,000 mountain range. Something major is happening." Bai Wuya spoke. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. There were many demons in the immortal realms that cultivated and could transform into human form, possessing sentience. There was actually a beast tied? The news from the Heavenly Talisman realm states that there's a huge beast tied at the border between the desolate 10,000 mountain range and the northern regions of the immortal realms. It's extremely terrifying, and there might be a supremely powerful greater demon in the depths of the mountain range. Bai Wuya spoke. The major powers of the northern regions are already preparing for this. Very soon, the entire immortal realms would receive this news. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. Could it be that Little Rascal sent him a signal because of this beast tide? Chapter 1406. Qin Wentian stared at Bai Wuya as he asked, "Senior brother, do you want to go there?" The desolate 10,000 mountain range has always been mysterious and unfathomable. It's the same as the myriad devil islands. Although they don't forbid Wuxia from entering, those who dared to enter the depths of the desolate 10,000 mountain range are extremely rare. I naturally have to go there and take a look. I asked you to come here because I wanted to ask if you are interested. Bai Wuya spoke. I wish to go there as well. Qin Wentian nodded lightly. Even if Bai Wuya didn't say it, he would still want to go. If it wasn't for something major, little rascal wouldn't have sent a signal to him. There would definitely be a shocking change in the desolate 10,000 mountain range. There's naturally no problem if you wish to go. It's just that right now, Eastern Sage is hiding in the shadows and his killing intent towards us is extremely intense. He might act at any moment. Leaving aside Eastern Sage, there are still many major characters who want your life outside of the 13 prefectures as well as the Evergreen Kingdom. An example is ZD. Although he might not be so thick-skinned as to act against you directly because of Emperor Yu's existence, he would definitely show no mercy if there's an opportunity. Bai Wuya spoke. Hence, if you roam the immortal realms now, you have to be extremely cautious. Qin Wentian frowned. If Eastern Sage didn't die, it would truly be troublesome. But if they wanted to kill him, unless it was a peak-stage immortal emperor or a supremely powerful mid-stage immortal emperor, even if they could defeat the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, they wouldn't be able to kill him. As long as Eastern Sage didn't die, they would be a threat. Senior Emperor Yu is a peak-stage immortal emperor, but I can't request him to do anything. In addition, I don't know his attitude towards this. Qin Wentian silently mused. Because he was the Saint Lord of the Battle Saint tribe. This was why Emperor Yu protected him. He had no way to request Emperor Yu to kill Eastern Sage for him. If there's more, he would need an extremely powerful senior brother from the Heavenly Talisman realm. However, there weren't many in the immortal realms at that level. Even in the Heavenly Talisman realm, there wouldn't be many of them. He didn't have any interactions with these senior brothers, so how could he allow them to kill Eastern Sage? You should go to the Evergreen Kingdom. If the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor goes to the Savage 100,000 mountain range, I believe that many big shots will go there, including your future father-in-law. In that case, he won't be able to deal with you. Bai Wuya smiled. Qin Wentian nodded. After that, Qin Wentian bid farewell and departed. He brought along several experts from the Battle Saint tribe, and directly used the teleportation array to enter the Evergreen Kingdom. In the Celestial Nation Royal Palace, Chongqing Longhao led many nobility figures to welcome them. Qin Wentian, I heard that your performance in the Immortal War was extraordinary. You crippled Dongsheng Kuan, and actually have the combat prowess of a mid-stage immortal king. Your accomplishments are truly shocking. Chongqing Longhao stared at Qin Wentian as he spoke. In the past, Qin Wentian and Qing Er were in love. As an immortal king prince, although he knew that Qin Wentian's talent was extraordinary, he didn't treat him as someone of the same generation. However, this battle attracted the attention of the Evergreen Kingdom. Qin Wentian's performance was simply too dazzling. Such a young immortal king actually managed to surpass Qin Wentian. This was simply shocking. Elder brother, there's no need to flatter me. Qin Wentian smiled. Chongqing Longhao was the elder brother of Qing Er. There was naturally no problem with him addressing him as such. There's no need to be humble. Such talent is something I've never seen before. Chongqing Longhao laughed. This time around, are you here because you want to see Qing Er? Has Qing Er returned? Qin Wentian asked. No, Senior GD is currently supervising her cultivation. If you wish to see her, you can use the teleportation array to head to the cultivation mountain to see Qing Er. Chongqing Longhao spoke. Forget it then. I heard that there's a demonic beast rampage in the desolate 10,000 mountain range. I wonder if Elder Brother has received any news about it? Qin Wentian asked. It's a rare demonic beast wave. Right now, the entire immortal realms have already been shaken. The various peak powers should have received the news and sent their experts to Skybreak City. Elder Brother, do you intend to go? What does your majesty think? Qin Wentian asked. It's said that the repercussions of the demonic beast wave this time around are extremely great. The major powers of the northern regions even sent out news to the other regions to be on guard against the invasion of the demonic beasts. Father will be heading there as well. Since you are already here, why don't you come along? Right. Qin Wentian nodded. The desolate 10,000 mountain range was boundlessly vast. It was unknown how deep it was and how many demonic beasts there were. Most probably, it was as boundless as the humans in the immortal realms. If there really was a great war, the entire northern regions would be plunged into misery and suffering. No wonder the major powers of the northern regions sent out news to warn the other major powers. Although such a thing was extremely rare, it wasn't unheard of in the countless years of history of the immortal realms. According to the historical records, the desolate 10,000 mountain range once had a great war with the immortal realms. Ancient emperors were born in the immortal realms, and the desolate 10,000 mountain range had also produced supreme greater demons that were comparable to ancient emperors. Your Highness, aren't the major powers of the northern regions a little too sensitive? Someone asked. The major powers of the northern regions were all extremely powerful. Although the demonic beast wave was terrifying, if there were experts at the peak acting, they would still be able to suppress it. We have never experienced it before. We naturally don't know how terrifying it is. However, you have to know that the desolate 10,000 mountain range is a paradise for demonic beasts, just like the myriad devil islands where devil cultivators gather. People of our immortal realms basically have no understanding of it. Do you know how strong the desolate 10,000 mountain range is now? Do you know how many supreme demonic beast powers are born in there? Chongqing Longhao spoke, his words causing the expression of the person who spoke to stiffen as he felt somewhat ashamed. Indeed, no one knew how strong the desolate 10,000 mountain range was now. Although they didn't invade the immortal realms for countless years, they would definitely send some demonic beasts to infiltrate the immortal realms and know of the foundations of the immortal realms. Their understanding of the immortal realms was much deeper compared to humans. This time around, there would surely be a storm in the northern regions. Chongqing Longhao mumbled. They came to the Emperor Palace and paid their respects to Chongqing the Great. After that, they departed together, using the teleportation array to head north. Qin Wentian originally could directly use the Heavenly Talisman realm to traverse the immortal realms. However, he wanted to bring the people of the Battle Saint tribe along. In addition, Wuxia was worried about his safety and told him to come to the Evergreen Kingdom. Hence, Qin Wentian used the Evergreen Kingdom and once again arrived at the northern regions. However, this time around, it wasn't the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. It was the Skybreak City located in the northern regions of the immortal realms. This majestic city was separated from the heavens and earth. After crossing over, one would be able to enter the desolate 10,000 mountain range. Within this majestic city, there were experts from the various peak powers of the northern regions stationed here, observing the movements of the desolate 10,000 mountain range. Skybreak City, the #1 city in the northern regions. It was even larger compared to the royal capital of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. It was a city that surpassed the core cities of the peak powers of the northern regions, and was governed jointly by the various peak powers. In this Skybreak City, the wind of the martial Tao was extremely strong. Experts were as common as clouds, and in addition to the fact that it was connected to the desolate 10,000 mountain range, the people of this city were all used to life and death situations. And during these days, Skybreak City grew even more lively. Countless experts from the immortal realms were rushing over here. And these people were all extremely powerful characters. Immortal kings could be seen everywhere. After all, Immortal Foundation experts were basically useless in the desolate 10,000 mountain range. At this moment, at the border of Skybreak City, the earthen yellow land resembled a long dragon that spanned across the heavens and earth. It was over 100 meters tall, and there were countless silhouettes on the dragon. They stared at the boundless mountain range in the distance as their hearts were filled with great waves of shock. In front of them, the mountain range was actually filled with countless demonic beasts. Although they were very far away, the people here could still sense a supreme demonic chi. It was too terrifying. Even for the people of Skybreak City, they had never seen so many demonic beasts gathered together before. On one of the mountain peaks, terrifying moonlight demonic wolves could be seen. Their eyes were as cold as the moonlight as they stared at the crowd, causing them to involuntarily shiver. Some of these demonic wolves were gigantic, over 100 meters tall. There were even wolf kings that were as large as mountains. This was only one of the mountains. Over there were different types of demonic beasts. It wasn't that they couldn't transform into human form, but right now they were all in their demonic forms. Their cold eyes stared at the direction of Skybreak City, as though they would launch a violent attack at any moment. The people from the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom are here. At this moment, everyone inclined their heads and stared at the air. They only saw a group of people from the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom flying over. Many experts were carrying a palanquin in the air, and within that palanquin, one could faintly see a supreme beauty. Her side profile is already so beautiful, I wonder who she is. Many people mused. Beauty, can you come out for a walk? Only to see that at this moment, a bold person spoke. The aura from this group of people was extremely tyrannical, and it was rumored that they were from the Thunder God Hall, a peak power in the central regions of the immortal realms. The woman in the palanquin seemed to have moved. She glanced over, and an incomparably cold light seemed to shoot out from her pair of extremely beautiful eyes. The person who spoke screamed in agony. The experts from the Thunder God Hall felt their hearts trembling. Someone inclined his head and spoke. Friends from the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, aren't you going a little too overboard? Whoever dares to say anything more will be killed. An extremely cold voice rang out from the palanquin. You. The people from the Thunder God Hall roared in rage. Your Thunder God Hall should be more obedient. The number one genius in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, Princess Kitamura, isn't someone you can antagonize? An ethereal voice rang out, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. It was actually the number one beauty of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, Princess Kitamura. Has Princess Kitamura arrived? No wonder her aura was so imposing. Yu Huang, it has been a long time since we last met. A group of figures walked over. They were also from the northern regions of the immortal realms. It's Pei Qing. He was once the number one genius in the history of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. After that, he was surpassed by Princess Yu Huang. The eyes of everyone flashed when they saw the person who spoke. The two of them stood together, exuding a resplendent radiance. They were truly an immortal couple. Princess Kitamura calmly replied she didn't say anything. She was extremely cold, causing people to feel that Princess Kitamura didn't have any feelings for Pei Qing at all. Chapter 1407. Skybreak City was a barrier of the northern regions, connected to the desolate 10,000 mountain range. Many peak powers of the northern regions could be seen here. Princess Kitamura and Pei Qing were geniuses at the peak of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Their fame was naturally great. Many people have heard of them before. After all, their cultivation bases were at the Immortal Emperor realm, standing at the peak of the immortal realms. Even in the boundlessly vast northern regions, many people have heard of them before. The opening of the Tiandao Sacred Academy. The Hokage Sengoku Kingdom continuously produced characters that broke the records of history. Many heroes appeared in the northern regions, and there was a rumor that there was a commotion in the eastern regions. Right now the desolate 10,000 mountain range is trembling. What's going on exactly? Is the sky of the immortal realms going to change? Seems like the ancient emperor era isn't just a rumor. Someone sighed. Recently, there were indeed many major events that happened in the immortal realms. If the demonic races in the desolate 10,000 mountain range really went crazy and invaded the immortal realms, in addition to the fact that the Tiandao Sacred Academy was the symbol of the ancient emperor era, the immortal realms would definitely be in chaos. In this chaotic world, geniuses would vie for supremacy. Experts were as common as the clouds, and it was easier for peerless geniuses to appear. In fact, there might even be a supreme expert who could unify the world. Another major power has arrived. At this moment, everyone turned their heads only to see more experts arriving. A group of them were riding on greater demons, all of them exuding an extraordinary aura. So many beauties, the fairies of the Jadestige Immortal Palace have arrived. Another group of people arrived. They were none other than the fairies of the Jadestige Immortal Palace. Upon seeing their beautiful faces, everyone felt that it was a feast for the eyes. So many beauties walking together, it's truly a feast for the eyes. Especially that woman, she's so beautiful. She should be the holy maiden from the Jadestige Immortal Palace, right? There are many rumors about her. There's someone saying that there are 8 great beauties in the northern regions. That Holy Maiden and Princess Kitamura are among them. The arrival of so many beauties naturally attracted even more experts here. In addition, all of them stood on top of the earthen yellow barrier, quietly staring at the phenomenon happening in the distance. It was as though they wanted to see clearly what these demonic beasts wanted to do. Once these demonic beasts went berserk and rushed into Skybreak City, a massacre would surely occur. Since they came here, they had no choice but to take precautions. These experts were also very patient, waiting patiently, wanting to find out what was going on. For several days, they all waited here. At the same time, more and more experts gathered here. First, it was the major powers from the northern regions. After that, the major powers from the eastern, southern, central and western regions all arrived. Qin Wentian and Changqing Longhao also arrived. When Qin Wentian stood on top of the earthen yellow barrier and stared into the distance, great waves of shock rose up in his heart. He had long heard that the desolate 10,000 mountain range was the true territory of the demonic beasts. Usually, when people referred to the immortal realms, they mainly referred to the human realms and didn't consider the greater demons in the desolate 10,000 mountain range. But now he personally witnessed this scene and understood that the demons in the desolate 10,000 mountain range might not be any weaker compared to the humans in the immortal realms. That boundless mountain range towered up into the sky. Greater demons could be seen hovering in the air. There were powerful rocks, tyrannical thunder hawks, gigantic ox demons that resembled a gigantic mountain, great demonic apes that caused the heavens and earth to tremble with every step they took. Countless demonic beasts gathered here. And these weren't ordinary demonic beasts. All of them had intelligence, and the weakest among them was equivalent to human ascendants. Many of them were demon immortals, and there were even demon kings among them. They seemed to be waiting for something. Little Rascal and Purgatory are in such an environment. Qin Wentian's expression froze. But when he thought about the fact that they were demons as well, there shouldn't be anything wrong. Little Rascal was extremely astute. Roar! At this moment, an earth-shaking roar rang out from afar. It actually didn't come from the desolate 10,000 mountain range, but was from the airspace above Skybreak City instead. A group of terrifying auras descended as many greater demons stood on the back of the human, Wuxia. Those human Wuxia transformed into giants and were trampled under the feet of the demons, becoming slaves. Their bodies radiated demonic qi as though they had been demonized. The demons who were trampling them were many powerful demonic races in the western regions of the immortal realms. For example, the White Tiger people. The experts of the White Tiger people exuded a fearsome, baleful aura. When they saw the commotion in the desolate 10,000 mountain range, they felt extremely excited. That place was the world of demons. They wondered what kind of powerful demons would be born. Would they be able to sweep through the immortal realms and rule over the humans in the immortal realms? However, the gazes of everyone when they stared at the White Tiger people turned somewhat unfriendly. These fellows were actually excited? Sir Qin. At this moment, a group of people walked towards Qin Wentian. Staring at the beautiful silhouettes before him, Qin Wentian smiled. The fairies of the Namhuang clan have arrived. Is Yunqi not here? No, Yunqi is currently in closed-door seclusion. An immortal king Holy Maiden spoke to Qin Wentian. My name is Nanfeng Mingyue. I'm the holy successor of the Namhuang clan. Someone introduced. The majority of these people were immortal kings. Qin Wentian didn't recognize them, and only knew that they were from the Namhuang clan. Hence, this maiden intentionally introduced them. The holy successor indicated that she had the qualifications to inherit the position of the Southern Phoenix matriarch. She was the same as Namhuang Yunqi. It's just that Nanfeng Mingyue was an immortal king-ranked holy successor. Holy successor of the Namhuang clan. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. He then introduced the person beside him. This is my elder brother, Changqing Longhao. I've always heard that the holy successor of the Namhuang clan is extraordinary, but it's very rare for me to meet you in person. Now that I've met you, you are even more heroic than the rumors. Changqing Longhao smiled. Prince Longhao praises me too much. Nanfeng Mingyue smiled. She naturally knew that Chongqing Long Hao was the son of Chongqing the Great. So it's Qin Wentian's brother Qin. At this moment, an immortal king riding on a giant elephant glanced over and smiled. Back then in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, Sir Qin and the holy successor of the Namhuang clan were famous in the Sacred Academy. They roasted white tiger meat and invited everyone to share it. Now that I've met Sir Qin and the holy successor of the Southern Phoenix clan, it's truly extraordinary. Qin Wentian frowned. His expression was cold as he stared at the person who spoke. That immortal king riding on a giant elephant was a powerful character from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom. The purpose of his words was extremely clear. He wanted to sow discord among the White Tiger people. This matter was a great humiliation to the White Tiger people. For this, the White Tiger people even sent White Tiger demon emperors to the eastern regions to participate in the immortal war in the Evergreen Kingdom Palace. However, they returned with no results. After that, they activated the adjudication but failed again. It could be said that they had lost a great deal of face. And as expected, at this moment, the experts from the White Tiger people glanced in the direction of Qin Wentian, as terrifying baleful auras radiated from them. You are Qin Wentian? A demon king from the White Tiger people coldly spoke, his eyes flashing with killing intent. Qin Wentian calmly glanced at him and ignored him. He turned his gaze to the experts from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom as he coldly spoke. Other than the White Tiger people, I've killed many from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom as well. The adjudication you all launched was a complete failure. Now that you all see me, you actually still dare to speak such nonsense? I truly admire you all. Your skin is so thick that it makes me blush with shame. Hee hee, things are truly different after stepping into the immortal king realm. You all are even more arrogant now. An expert from the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom coldly spoke. Huang Shatian. So that person is none other than your mortal enemy, Qin Wentian. At this moment, from another direction, another person glanced over as he spoke. Qin Wentian glanced over only to see that the experts from the Nine Emperors' immortal state had arrived. Among the experts from the Nine Emperors' immortal state, there was a person who was exceptionally conspicuous. The genius of the Nine Emperors' immortal state, Huang Shatian. His aura was much more reserved compared to before, no longer as dazzling as before. However, he seemed to be even more dangerous now. Also, his cultivation base was actually at the immortal king realm. To be able to do so in such a short period of time, this was extremely rare. As expected of a peak-level character from the Nine Emperors' immortal state. When Qin Wentian glanced at Huang Shatian, their gazes intersected. From Huang Shaishan's eyes, he could see battle intent as well as complicated emotions. Huang Shaishan's feelings towards Qin Wentian were too complicated. From the time Qin Wentian managed to escape death, to a draw, and finally to his defeat, he thought that he would be able to cleanse his humiliation by breaking through to the immortal king realm first. But now, Qin Wentian had already broken through to the immortal king realm. Huang Shatian, you can be considered quite famous in the central regions, and are known as the #1 genius of the younger generation of the Nine Emperors' immortal state. Now that you have broken through to the immortal king realm, why don't you step forward and fight against your mortal enemy? That voice rang out once more. The person who spoke was an immortal king from another major power in the central regions, the Sunluo Immortal Empire. This person was incomparably tyrannical, exuding a fearsome aura. Yen Luotian. If you feel that you are extraordinary and think that my reputation is undeserved, you can step forward and fight against him yourself. Huang Shatian calmly spoke. He would naturally fight against Qin Wentian. However, this Yen Luotian's words contained a hint of arrogance. Huang Shatian was filled with disdain, because he knew what sort of character he was. He also understood what sort of character Qin Wentian was. The immortal realms are still at the immortal foundation realm, right? He just broke through to the immortal king realm a few years ago, and he wants to fight against me? Yen Luotian laughed. Huang Shatian, you truly think too highly of him. You think too highly of yourself as well. You think too highly of yourself. Huang Shatian emotionlessly spoke. Compared to the sharpness he displayed in the past, Huang Shatian seemed to have changed after fighting against Qin Wentian so many times. At this moment, a sedan flew over. Princess Kitamura was inside. She stared at Qin Wentian as she coldly spoke. You still dare to appear before me? You Huang, back then when we parted in the royal palace of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, I missed you a lot. Qin Wentian smiled gently at Princess Kitamura. A moment later, a cold intent gushed forth from Princess Kitamura. You are truly impudent. As she spoke, the sedan directly shattered as Princess Kitamura walked out from within, revealing a flawlessly beautiful countenance. Her jade-like bones and ice-like skin exuded an incomparable coldness. You Huang, I'm speaking the truth. The things that happened back then are still vivid in my mind. Qin Wentian seemed to be filled with nostalgia. Shut up. Princess Kitamura radiated coldness from her, not allowing Qin Wentian to speak of those things. When she saw the smile on that bastard's face, she wanted nothing more than to act against him. But this fellow said that he had an avatar. If she acted against him, he would spread rumors to slander her. Yu Huang, such a shameless person should be killed directly. Pei Qing walked over, coldly staring at Qin Wentian. Who is this fellow exactly? Why does it feel like he knows everyone here and has offended so many enemies? Someone stared at Qin Wentian in astonishment. The eastern region of the Tenlon Heaven Kingdom, the western region of the White Tiger people, the central region of the Nine Emperors' immortal state, and the northern region of the Princess Kitamura. Did he offend all the major powers in the immortal realms? This person is Qin Wentian. Back then when the Tiandao Sacred Academy opened, he was extremely dazzling and rose up within a short 100 years. Right now, he has already broken through to the immortal king realm, and is the son-in-law of Chongqing the Great, a disciple of the immortal Qianbian Gate. Someone spoke in a low voice. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.